Friday. We have made it to the end of the week on KCMO Talk Radio 95.7 FM. We are streaming, as always, on the KCMO Talk Radio app. Tommy Lowe reminds me of my neighbor. This guy is one of the founders of Cracker Barrel, and he went viral yesterday because he did a local television interview, and he absolutely eviscerated the rebrand that, of course, was put back into its $700 million shiny garbage box that it came from when he said this to local television.
Logo rolled out the other day.
Oh, that's crazy. That's nothing. That's a bland nothing. It's pitiful.
Do you think she knows the story of Cracker Barrel?
I don't think so. I heard she was a Taco Bell, but what's Taco Bell know about a Cracker Barrel? And country food. And the food is something that to need to work on. Spending $700 million to do that is all I've been doing. Not just throwing money out the street.
There we go. That a boy, Tommy Lowe. He may be 93, but gosh, he's sharp as a tack. Put him back in charge. I love the common sense analysis by a 93-year-old man right there, who says, the CEO who was behind this Cracker Barrel rebrand that, of course, they reverted back to the original logo earlier this week. One of the big wins, one of the great stories of the week here in America. He goes, she was at Taco Bell. What do they know about Cracker Barrel?
Country food. Yeah. I like that.
Yeah. And I'm sitting there and I'm watching this interview last night because it started to make the rounds on social media. And I'm like, this is just tremendous common sense. These C-suite folks, they think that they can just go from one place to another because they're at this upper echelon of American business. And they slap each other on the back, they hire each other, they take care of each other and the whole thing. And then you got the guy that actually founded the company. And he's sitting there looking at this thing at 93 years old and saying, this is the dumbest logo I've ever seen. It's sterile. There's no personality. What are you doing here? And it's like, we got to revert back to those guys and gals. We got to revert back to those kind of people who just have common sense and understand the business and understand the brand. And as we sit here on a Friday morning and we, are all ready for a Labor Day weekend, a little college football, Mark's placing 17 parlays this morning as the show gets started. Remember, understanding the customer base is everything. Everything. And when Cracker Barrel went back to its old ways and its old logo a couple of days ago, I gave them a lot of credit, especially after the president came out and said, go back to your old logo. A lot of CEOs and executives would have said, you know what, we're definitely not doing it now, because then it looks like we bended the knee to Donald Trump. We can't do that, John.
Funny thing is, the Cracker Barrel CEO, when Trump made his reference, that guy probably was thinking, the kid's right. Yeah. Right? The guy's 93, thinking Trump's the kid. Your kid's right,
Yes, the 93-year-old founder is talking about Trump the kid. And then you look at the fact that Cracker Barrel comes around and does the right thing, right? And they're like, okay, we're going to make this move back to the original logo. At least people are starting to learn their lesson here. And that is absolutely a step in the right direction. So just some, listen, it's been a long but fast week is how I would describe it. I can't believe it's already Friday, but then I look back on the last few days and the focus on violent crime here in Kansas City, right? Homicides happening downtown at 13th and Grand. No one locally having any answers. You look at this tragedy in Minneapolis from a couple of days ago. And if there's new information on this morning, of course, we'll bring it to you here on 95.7 FM. But gosh, there is a lot of bad right now in this world. And if we can lighten it up here on a Friday morning, we will do our absolute best to do that. But of course, we're still going to have you covered on anything new that is coming out. We'll have some economic news that drops in about 90 minutes here on KCMO Talk Radio. Speaking of economic news, kicked off the college football season here in Kansas City unofficially last night with Cincinnati and Nebraska. Mark, did you stay up for that whole game? That was a late one last night. I admit I didn't make it, but Nebraska beat Cincinnati 20-17 here at Arrowhead Stadium.
I did stay up for it. I thought Nebraska was going to blow it like they have so many times over the past decade, but they hung on for the win.
They did. But you know what? You and I were talking, and you were on Nebraska minus the points. I was like, I don't know, Mark. I don't know, man.
Yeah, they should have won by the points, but they blew it 6 inches short of the goal and had to kick a field goal.
Yep. So instead, Nebraska wins by 3. The spread was at 6.5. So Mayor Lucas was very active on social media last night. He was out there, as you would imagine, at Arrowhead Stadium. And he had all the pictures up and the whole thing. But one thing he posted last night at about 10:30 on social media, the mayor of Kansas City writes here, major events mean big business for Kansas City. Nebraska and Cincinnati fans have been in our city for days, with many more staying tomorrow, filling our hotels, our restaurants, and our shops. Another great event for Kansas City businesses. Now, he's right about that. And he also had a picture of Arrowhead Stadium. He looked like he was at the suite level somewhere last night based on the photo that he took. But he's right about that. The question is, what do you do to make sure that you can retain the teams and that you can clean up parts of the city that desperately need it? And that's where people are kicking themselves and saying, okay, yeah, we agree with you. Like having Nebraska, did you see Arrowhead last night? It was slammed. You had, 80,000 strong. There did not look to be an empty seat at Arrowhead Stadium last night between Nebraska and Cincinnati. And it was hard to tell because both teams are red, but it was clearly like 90% Nebraska fans, right? They would try to find video and they would try to find Cincinnati fans after a big play. And there was always like the same 3 guys in like, I don't know what section it was, but it was like the same 3 dudes. I'm like, I saw those guys last time Cincinnati made a big play.
And they were wearing Kelsey jerseys,
yeah.
I think.
Yeah. Yes. It's the same 3 dudes in their throwback Kelsey jerseys since he went to Cincinnati. And I'm like, I understand what you're going for there, Mr. Mayor. No one disagrees with you that these major events bring millions of dollars in economic business to Kansas City, which is why it's that much more important. You do the basics well. You do the basics right. You don't give people a reason to not book the hotel downtown. You don't give you don't give them a reason to not go out and spend money on food and alcohol around Power and Light and other places around Kansas City. This is exactly why you put the public safety issue number 1, number 2, and number 3 in this town today. And you don't demean business owners and parking lot owners for not having security for their lots, not having, some guy standing there with the handgun. Maybe the CEO of Cracker Barrel's free tonight. He could sit outside, 13th and Grand parking lot. He looks like he'd be a tough SOB. He's got a little Clint Eastwood in him, right?
Yeah. Yep.
He might be free for a shift tonight. You don't ask guys like that to sit outside of the parking lot at 13th and Grand to try to keep the place safe. You do the job of a major American city, and you patrol no ifs, ands, or buts, right? And that was part of what the mayor and I got into yesterday morning when we had this back and forth about patrolling Power and Light.
But Pete, I get what you're saying, but is it their job to stand outside of every private parking lot? So you're telling me when this business owner, who for some reason is too cheap to spend $50,000 on a gate, but you're telling me that this business owner can't be the one who actually provides security there?
Well, he's paying you taxes. He's paying you taxes to your city to patrol the city, right? That's part of what he's paying taxes for.
I'm intrigued. So taxes are being paid to patrol basically his private lot. He had a bunch of people who got in a fight on his private lot. Let's put walls up and all that sort of stuff. So if I get in a drunken fight in my house tonight and all of that, and KCPD doesn't show up prior to a guy shooting me, it's their fault?
Yeah, that was the mayor and I yesterday. Always a robust, lively back and forth And if you missed that, it's up on the podcast, as it always is after the show. But this is exactly why, when you look at downtown, you need the police to do their jobs. If Kansas City wants to basically acquiesce the job of the police and say, you know what, you're basically on your own, then you're going to have people sitting on their front porch. And I know people who have done this in Brookside, by the way. They'll sit on their front porch, they'll have their weapon, and they'll just kind of patrol the street. If that's how Kansas City wants to run and operate, that's fine, but that's how third world countries run. That's not how major first-class American cities operate. And it shouldn't be how Kansas City thinks it needs to operate. It shouldn't be how Kansas City business owners and residents think they need to roll around town. Because how far do you take that? Well, you know, the guy's got a private lot. He's got to protect it. Okay, how about my house? How about my apartment complex? Should I sit there in the lobby of my apartment complex downtown? Is that what we should be doing next? I don't think so. I don't think that's the path we want to be going down here. 913-408-7957. We are off and running on a Friday morning. Let's go to Tim. He's out in Blue Springs. What's up, Tim? Good morning.
Hey, good morning. I was watching that streetcar the last couple of days, and it just goes up and down and up and down, and it's always out of service. Why don't they take some of that streetcar money and put it towards the police officers?
Hey, why, Tim? Stop with the common sense, okay? I've had enough of that. I'm done. It's too early for this level of common sense, Tim. Come on now, man. You're right. Hundreds of millions of dollars they've spent on the toy trolley in Kansas City. It's a joke.
Absolutely.
It is an absolute joke. Thank you, Tim. That is just great stuff. I mean, Tim may be a front runner for the caller of the day. It's only 6:17 in the morning. I got 3 hours and 15 minutes until I announce the caller of the day at 9:30. We do each and every morning here on KCMO. And for you early birds, the caller of the day just wins absolutely nothing. You get to hear your call back, though, which is kind of neat.
You get to win the plaudits of your coworkers and peers.
Yeah, exactly.
Or whoever happens to be listening at that time.
You run into the break room, and you tell everybody at work that you were the caller of the day on Monday in the morning, and you're good to go.
Tim's concise, right to the point.
Oh, I love that call. That's an incredible call to kick off a Friday.
I see the streetcar going back and forth. Yep. Nobody in it.
No one in it, but hundreds of millions of dollars spent. Go figure. Outstanding work. Try to top Tim on a Friday. There you go. Well, someone who got a lot of flack and went viral for it was not Quentin Lucas, but was somebody else in the Kansas City Metro. And it's not the own that some people are making it out to be. I have the audio of that coming up next.
If it's happening in KCMO, it's on KCMO 95.7 FM. Here's Pete Mundo.
Oh, man, I'm just excited on a Friday. I'm stepping all over the liners, and I'm just fired up here, rolling into the weekend. So we've got many of you who just have so much common sense, and that's what I love about this audience. You have Tim right before the break call in from Blue Springs, and he's like, hey, we spend and waste all this money on toy trains and streetcars downtown, but we can't guarantee the safety of citizens at 13th and Grand on a Saturday night, Sunday morning. What's that all about? And we're asking business owners to fork over $50,000 to protect their own parking lots. What's that all about? And we want to normalize that? Damon's in Kansas City. Hey, Damon, you're on KCMO. Good morning.
Hey, thank you so much. I love listening to you guys. I moved to Kansas City last year with my wife and my daughter, got into an apartment complex out here, and they were paying like $2,000 a month to have some satellite little light up so the cops could watch, but that didn't stop anything. I got a Kia. That's how I found out about the Kia boys. They're just breaking into my car every other month. Luckily, they never got away with it. But when I call the cops to let them know, hey, I'm a veteran myself, Iraq veteran. I try to get with some of my other apartment friends here that I've met and protect our vehicles. And the cops straight up said, don't do that. They said, that's vigilantism. And if they catch us doing anything like that, that could be us looking for trouble, So I don't know. That made me feel some kind of way. So I got into a house now, but it's not in a much better neighborhood. And I found out that all these bad lots, like on Gregory and Agnes, all these bad lots. So I'm like, hey, talking to a neighbor that's been there for 30 years. And she's like, oh, yeah, they won't even let anyone do permits. There are plenty of people that want to buy this lot and build on it and, refab this horrible neighborhood with trash on the streets and stuff, but the city won't do anything about it. So I don't know. That's my 2 cents. I really appreciate everything that you're talking about this morning. So
thank you for that, Damon. Hey, where'd you come from before you got to Kansas City?
Oh, I came from a small town up north in Nebraska. So
okay.
It's like, up there, you can leave your car unlocked. You pretty much know who the meth heads are. The bad side of town, you stay away from them. But down here, it seems like everyone's just, out here trying to get their own lick or something. So I don't know. Maybe that's just city life.
No, well, listen, man, it doesn't need to be this way. And that's we're learning that from D.C. the last couple of weeks, and certainly here in Kansas City, it doesn't need to be this way. I'm glad you're here. Are you a Cornhuskers fan as well?
Oh, yeah.
Right.
But lately I've been falling in with the Chiefs. I mean, you got so many Chief Kingdoms around me. So these guys are repping the flags. They love the pride. And, you can't really hate on football anyway. So
that's true,
you
man.
again, man. Thank
that's
you so
true.
much.
Hey, Damon, welcome to Kansas City. Thanks for finding the show, my man. That's a great call, too, right there. I mean, new to Kansas City, lived downtown, had an apartment. Kia's getting broken into. Him and his veterans buddies, and we appreciate his service as well, are like, hey, you know what? We're going to basically protect our own property. And the cops are like, don't do that. But now they're telling business owners of parking lots to protect their own property. I mean, you can't have it both ways. If you're telling people basically they're on their own, then they're on their own. But you can't pick and choose when they're on their own. Jennifer, good morning. You're on KCMO.
Good morning. You got me fired up this morning talking about cops not wanting to help or tell you not to do things. Try being a truck driver and call for help, and they say, why don't you just pull over? You literally got someone trying to run you off the road and brake checking you and all, and you're trying to do your job, and when you call for help, why don't you just pull off the road, take the next exit? We don't have time.
And that's happened to you while you've been driving your truck in Kansas City, Missouri in particular?
All over Missouri. Not only that, they've used me to block traffic when they have to work a wreck because some idiot passing no passing zone. Then they're appreciative of me, but they don't. If I need their help, I'm on my own.
Well, we appreciate you, Jennifer, and thank you for sharing that.
I appreciate it. I listen to you every day.
There you go. We love having you, Jennifer. Thanks so much. That's outstanding.
All right.
Well, listen,
have a great day.
That's an excellent point as well. I mean, Jennifer's making a great point right there. It's like, well, which one is it? Trying to do the right thing, call up the police. Someone's got road rage or being a knucklehead. And what do they say? Well, good luck to you. Can't have it both ways, man. You just can't do it. All right, who got shouted down at a town hall here in Kansas City and went viral for it? We'll tell you who. We have the audio of that coming up next.
Hey, it's Kevin Keatsman. Stick around. I'm coming up at 10 o'clock right after Pete Mundo on KCMO 95.7 FM.
We'll actually have Nikki Pace in for Kevin today on a Friday morning. Glad you're here on KCMO Talk Radio. So maybe I'm a little too close to the situation. But Mark Alford went viral. Mark, of course, is a Missouri congressman here in the 4th Congressional District, friend of the show, and former television anchor here in Kansas City. So Mark is actually doing town halls. Give him a lot of credit. One of the few Republicans actually doing town halls. In fact, it seems like many at the top levels of the Republican Party have advised Republicans against doing town halls because what's happening is you got the purple-haired, washed-up, wrinkly old hippies showing up and basically yelling at Republicans at town halls, and it's not even a conversation. Like, I'm all about do a town hall, be respectful, and talk about the issues, right? And share what you disagree with. And that's part of the job as a member of Congress, to confront that. But what you're seeing is organized protests and efforts, and it's just a clown show with some of these people. That's what it is. But Alford's doing it to his credit. But Mediaite, which is basically, it's a website for media mostly, but you probably have seen different things on Mediaite. And they write this headline yesterday, "Watch, House Republican blurts out a wicked self-own when confronted by angry constituent at town hall." And it's Mark Alford, John.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, even at my age, I'm learning. We're going back to an old thing that used to be where you'd put these sensational headlines in the newspaper that didn't really have anything to do with the story to sell the newspaper.
Yes.
That was the thing way back in the day. We're kind of cycling back around here in social media. So many times I'll click on something on YouTube and I'm like, oh, why did I? What,
Yep.
And so that's just part of the art, isn't it?
It's
to mislead, to get the click.
Click game. Yep. Used to be a buy the newspaper game. Now it's a click game.
Mm-hmm.
So it's about Mark Alford, and it's about an incident that happened this week in. See, this is the other thing. You read this stuff, and you're like, do these people even know what they're talking about? Do they know where they are? Do they know anything about Missouri? With the way they write these stories, it just seems very out of touch. But anyway, let's play the audio of what they had to say and what Mark Alford had to say to this constituent.
Here's the problem. I kind of have to disprove a negative in that come January. Ma'am, did you want to yell something back there? Stand up.
Hi.
Okay, if you didn't want to hear my lies, why did you come here? All right? If you don't want to hear anything I say, why did you come here? All right?
So that's supposed to be the self-own. When Mark Alford said, if you didn't want to hear my lies, why did you come here? That's not a self-own. I mean, you can hear the way he's framing it, right? He's saying tongue-in-cheek, well, if you think I'm a liar, then why did you show up to listen to my lies? And the way that Mediaite frames it in this now viral video is House Republican blurts out a wicked self-own when confronted by angry constituent at town hall. No, you can tell how he is framing the comeback there. He's going, you can't really hear what she said, but she probably said something like, "You're a liar." And he's like, okay, so why would you come here?
Yeah, they chanted that at him a lot, I believe, in unison at places.
Why would you come here and listen to my lies if you just think I'm sitting here and spewing things that aren't factually accurate? That's not a self-own. That's basically saying, if I'm just here from your estimation to be a liar, why would you bother spending time here? What's the point? And that's more than a reasonable response from Mark Alford. It's not a self-own. But Mediaite writes it like, oh my gosh, wow, this guy, he just owned himself. Really? I don't know about that.
House Republican admits he's a liar.
Yeah. I'm surprised that the Drudge Report doesn't use that today. I'm sure that they will. The article goes on to note that Alford's tour got off to a rocky start earlier this week when Channel 41 reported most of the 55 people in the back of the room at the Apple Barrel restaurant inside Harrisonville's Sapp Brothers gas station seemed upset with Alford and his work in Washington. One man admonished, Your job as Congress is to check and balance our president. There's been no checks and balances at all. Well, that's only true when you're in the opposing party.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of the point of it. If you are a congressman who agrees with the president, it's not necessarily your job to be a check and balance. But this is preparing Mark Alford for probably what's to come. And he's only going to get a more blue district after Missouri Governor Mike Kehoe calls a special session to redistrict Missouri, which will mean Mark Alford will have more of Kansas City in his congressional district, which will mean more opportunities for him to get yelled at by random people. That's what's coming. So I think Mark is just basically warming himself up for what is likely to come when they redistrict the Missouri congressional map, and he ends up with a bluer district, which means more Kansas City and more opportunity for nonsense like this to happen, John.
I was reading one of the criticisms, I guess, towards the end. A lady from Columbia was upset he didn't come to Columbia.
My gosh.
Boy, that problem moves the nation forward, doesn't it? He had to drive 30 minutes. He's afraid of the city. Oh, brother.
Does his district even include Columbia?
I don't know.
I don't think it does.
He was in a county that was adjacent to it, but he was going to the smaller areas just to, not ignore. Obviously, it'd be easy to go to the city and just drop in at Jefferson City, Columbia, Springfield, Kansas City, St. Louis, and say, done.
I think he has part of Boone County, but I don't think he's in Columbia proper.
For that to be your major problem and to stand up, that's ridiculous, right?
Yeah, well, yes, that's true as well.
Completely irrelevant.
I would expect Governor Mike Kehoe to call the special session early next week. That's what I would anticipate. It's going to happen. Missouri is going to become the new Texas in the next couple of weeks as they try to go from 6 Republicans, 2 Democrats in the congressional map to 7 Republicans and 1 Democrat. That's what's coming in Missouri. And you will hear that special session called possibly as early as today from the governor's office. In fact, I might expect it today on a Friday news dump before a long weekend. Okay, you know and I know that people are going to be checked out, tuned out. They're going out of town maybe for a final taste of summer. They're thinking about college football. You got Mizzou and K-State this weekend. You got KU tonight. You got people like Mark already thinking about their 10-way parlays, trying to make a buck this weekend. And this would be the day for Governor Mike Kehoe to announce his special session to redistrict. News media's kind of got that foot off the pedal a little bit. They're thinking about doing stories about gas prices, not real news. So they're all caught up in that. So I would anticipate, whether it's today or maybe over the weekend, Mike Kehoe says we will have a special session to look at redistricting the Missouri congressional map and squeezing out Emmanuel Cleaver here in Kansas City.
You mustard moo.
Coming up next, the top 6 stories that you need to know in the 6 o'clock hour on KCMO Talk Radio 95.7 FM.
You're listening to Mundo in the Morning on KCMO Talk Radio 95.7 FM.
Happy Friday. Glad you're here on KCMO.
It's time for the 6 at 6 on 95.7 KCMO Talk Radio. Number 1.
Well, top of the heap this morning. Not that this is the most important story, but I was surprised when I saw this. And it's lighter for a Friday, so I just figured we'd roll with this. Kansas City's own Heidi Gardner is not coming back for Saturday Night Live season number 51. She had been on the show for the last 8 years. And have you seen any rumors as to why? I was surprised by this, unless she's figuring, hey, I'm a big-time star now. I got my commercial money. I'm going to do movies, and I don't really need SNL anymore. I couldn't figure out why else she would bail on the show.
I saw they were revamping it a little bit. Maybe the contract money was a little high for her. I don't know. That's my only take.
She's not the only one not returning. I don't keep up with the cast. I saw the stories. I don't recall the name, but she's not the only one not returning.
Okay. Well, still, I was like, okay, maybe they're just going cheap.
I think she was the bigger name. I didn't recognize the other name.
Well,
in fact, one of the persons had only been on just last season.
Okay. All right. Well, she's done. I mean, she'll be fine. Like, she's at, when you get to commercial level of fame, when you're doing your own commercials, what's the commercial she does that's beyond annoying?
I just saw her on a Starbucks commercial.
Did you really?
Yeah, she did the pumpkin spice latte is coming back.
Oh, gosh. Well, she does, what's the other one? Oh, Homes.com. That's what I was thinking of. The Homes.com commercial is very annoying. But to her credit, most commercials are, so I'm not knocking on her for that. I'm just saying, when you get that commercial money, SNL may be lowballing her, and she's like, fine, I'll keep doing my commercials. I'll go to Hollywood. I'll be good.
And doing some movies, too.
That's what I mean. Yeah, she'll go the movie route now. So it seems like that's usually what happens. Either you're a low-level SNL cast member, and they blow you out because you're no good, or you're just too expensive for the show at this point. And she may have gotten to that point on the latter end. So she's done. She is not coming back to SNL as they get set to kick off season 51. Man, that's crazy. Unbelievable.
Number 2.
Next up in the 6 at 6, well, big weekend in Kansas City. Not only, of course, the Labor Day weekend, kicking off Irish Fest tonight at 5 p.m. My buddy Micheal Mahoney will be here at 9 o'clock. We'll talk to him in studio here on 95.7 FM. And then Santa Caligan Days getting underway at noon today. That, of course, taking place all weekend long in Independence on the square. So a lot of events happening in Kansas City this weekend. Of course, you got KU playing tonight. You got K-State back in action tomorrow. Last night, Arrowhead Stadium was filled with Nebraska fans for that Nebraska-Cincinnati game. So a lot going on in town this weekend.
Number 3.
Next up in our 6 at 6 here on 95.7 FM KCMO Talk Radio. We've got new Missouri laws taking effect yesterday. So first off, the temp tag's going away. That was Senate Bill 28, calling for changes to several transportation provisions, including temporary license plates, or as they're dubbed, temp tags. Also, no paid sick leave 8 months after voters approved it. Missouri Governor Mike Kehoe signed the repeal of a law that guaranteed paid sick leave to workers and inflationary adjustments to the minimum wage. And then also this one, homeschool participation in public school sports. Homeschool families in Missouri have more options when it comes to sports and after-school activities, thanks to Senate Bill 63. That allows homeschooled students to participate in public school sports or extracurricular activities without enrolling in classes. Also going into effect yesterday, capital gains tax exemption. Missouri is the first state in the nation to completely exempt capital gains tax for individual filers. That was House Bill 594. So it was a doozy yesterday. Bunch of new laws going into effect yesterday across the state of Missouri.
Number 4.
Now, speaking of things happening in Missouri, stay tuned because that special session is coming to the state of Missouri to redistrict. And you're hearing it first on KCMO. I believe the announcement may come down today from Missouri Governor Mike Kehoe. He's expected to come on the show with us early next week. We've got a lot to catch up on, whether it's Chiefs and Royals news, whether it's redistricting news, whether it is the violent crime issues plaguing Kansas City. He is, I don't want to say he's promised us an interview early next week, but he did tell us that he would come on the show early next week. And I didn't get told this directly, but I believe part of that is because they will be rolling out the redistricting special session announcement here in the next couple of days. So stay tuned for that. And I think it could come down today before the long weekend.
Number 5.
Well, number 5 here in the 6 at 6, a local private school has closed until Tuesday. Holy Name of Jesus Catholic School in KCK confirmed that classes are canceled until Tuesday due to a COVID-19 outbreak at the school. The school said yesterday on social media classes are expected to resume after the Labor Day break. Now, the post does not specify whether students, faculty, or both are affected by the spread. So, are we going to go back to this now? Boy, I hope not. I sure hope that we are not going to be in a position where we are now talking about school closures due to COVID. I mean, these kids have been in school for 2 weeks, okay? And yes, we have had spikes in COVID on and off the last couple of years, but you've got to be kidding me. And I don't want to be a pessimist about this. Dare I say some of you saying you're a conspiracy theorist on this? But I can't help but wonder if certain leaders at local levels, now this is a private school, so I'm not suggesting it's got anything to do with the public school system. In this case, it doesn't. But I can't help but wonder that now that we have somebody in the White House who many on the local school level may disagree with, that they'll be much quicker to pull the plug on having kids in school over COVID outbreaks and blame RFK and Trump and CDC and, oh my gosh, everything's a mess under these guys. They don't know what they're doing. I can't help but allow my mind to go there. And maybe that's too pessimistic of me. But the minute I see this before Labor Day in KCK, they're shutting down a school for a few days because of a COVID outbreak. It's where my mind goes. And maybe that's wrong of me, but I can't help it.
Number 6.
And last up in our 6 at 6, if you are a YouTube TV subscriber and a football fan, you are in luck. YouTube TV announcing last night that they have reached a deal with Fox to keep their content on YouTube TV. That means Fox channels, including the Fox Broadcast Network, Fox News, and Fox Sports, remain available, and football fans will not miss any of the action this weekend. And that includes the biggest college football game of the day tomorrow, Texas-Ohio State. You've got Baylor and Auburn tonight as well on Fox. So thankfully, those games will not be missed. You'll have your football if you're a YouTube TV subscriber. I happen to be one. It's a great, I love YouTube TV. But if they had lost the college football for this weekend, I would have been out real fast. So that is the rundown for your 6 at 6 here on KCMO. I have found the governor, who I believe is doing a good job and is trying to break the mold like Quentin Lucas. I'll tell you who next. Got to give credit where it's due. 7:05. Good morning. Happy Friday. We have made it to the end of the week. 1 week from today, we'll be getting set for a little Kansas City Chiefs football when they open up the season in Brazil against the Chargers. So yesterday we had on the mayor of Kansas City, Quentin Lucas. Every Thursday at 7:30, he comes on the show. And the interview got a lot of traction, a lot of reaction from you. The podcast always does very well with that interview. And a lot of you commented on social media after our conversation yesterday and said, I don't share Quentin's vision on a lot of things, but I tip my hat to him for appearing on your show each and every week. And my reaction and my takeaway to many of you who said that was a simple one. Not enough people do it these days. Now, I think you're more likely to see a Republican go on, a show or a TV station or a radio show that they may not have a lot of ideological commonality with than you do Democrats going on Fox or coming on, shows like this where you're not going to be in lockstep when it comes to most of the issues. But we need more of that in America. We need to encourage that. And that's where a lot of you are at right now when it comes to the conversations that we have every single week with the mayor. And I respect that, and I do appreciate that. And we saw it yesterday at the national level, hours after, the mayor made his usual Thursday appearance here on KCMO, which is good for him, by the way. As long as I keep it respectful, which I always think that I do, respect the office, respect the guy who, yes, was elected 2 times to be the mayor of Kansas City, even when we disagree. I think that's important. But still, not enough people do it. And actually, Bill Maher went on a rant about this 2 weeks ago. He goes, I can get Republicans on my show easily. I can't get Democrats oftentimes on the show. He's like, it's impossible to get some of the most prominent Democrats, who I agree with, Bill Maher saying that, on the show. So even Bill Maher understands where things are at right now. But yesterday afternoon, this guy, Wes Moore, he is the governor of Maryland. He is a Democrat. He goes on Fox News with Will Cain. Now, a lot of people think that Wes Moore is a guy who's going to run for president in a couple of years. And the fact that he's going on Fox News tells me he absolutely is going to run for president. There's no doubt in my mind. He goes on Fox News with Will Cain, and you actually hear Will Cain's show at 9 p.m. every weeknight here on KCMO. And they have a back and forth about whether or not Baltimore, Maryland should welcome in federal help when it comes to crime in that city. And Wes Moore, to his credit, goes on Fox News yesterday and says to Will Cain, yeah, I'll take the federal help in Baltimore, Maryland.
The truth isn't partisan, and the truth is most of the major cities in the United States are run by Democrat governors, and they're also the highest rate crime cities in the country. I'm on limited time, and I want to give you a chance to address something,
I would
though, Governor.
absolutely
Because President
welcome
Trump brought
federal
it up.
support.
Apparently, there we go. You would welcome federal support. That's wonderful to hear.
I would absolutely welcome federal
will be happy
support.
to hear that.
But I also know what federal support is going to be necessary and required. It's the reason that I've said we would love to have additional support for license plate readers, things that we know can actually stop crimes as they are happening and making sure that people are brought to justice, and not having $30 million cut from public safety budgeting that is coming from the federal government. That I would love to be able to make sure that the federal government can do things like ban ghost guns and making sure we're eliminating these extended clips for Glocks, which essentially are turning Glocks into automatic weapons. I would love to make sure we're investing in local law enforcement, because we are watching cuts that are happening to local law enforcement and also gun safety funding.
Governor, we can't let all of that stand in the way of the immediate
question.
Solution being offered by the federal government. Well, you can't let all of that stand in the way and be an excuse for rejecting the solution being offered at the doorstep, which is the help of the federal government when it comes to National Guard.
So whether it's Quentin Lucas coming on KCMO every weekday or every Thursday with me, or it's this guy Wes Moore, Maryland governor, going on with Will Cain yesterday, these guys are smart. Whether you disagree or agree with them, they're smart. They know what they're doing. First off, they're using the platforms wisely. Because when you get pushback, when you're on the other side of that interview and you don't know what question is coming and you've got to figure out a way to answer it, and you know that the person asking you that question is likely not going to agree with whatever your answer is going to be. It's a completely different ballgame. And to Mayor Lucas's credit, he understands that. He's in part wisely and smartly using this show as a training ground for whatever may be next. He's not going to go on national panhandler radio across the street and get the questions he gets here. This is not going to happen, right? Wes Moore is not going to go on Morning Joe and get the questions that he gets yesterday from Will Cain. That's why these guys are smart. Meantime, you see people like, whether it's Gavin Newsom or J.B. Pritzker in Illinois, some of those other people who somehow think they're national figures, but they really aren't. They don't get it. They're just staying in the bubble. And even think back 10 years ago now. I know it feels like a lifetime ago, but just go back 10 years for a second. The whole reason that Donald Trump is in the White House now is because he got $1 billion in earned media. He went everywhere and anywhere he could go to get his message out. He didn't care if the host agreed, if the host disagreed. He was on CNN, MSNBC, Fox. He would go basically anywhere that he thought he could get in front of a decent-sized audience and promote his candidacy, his brand, his ideas. It was smart. It was good politics. It was also great for the candidate. And it worked out, obviously, pretty darn well for him. So this guy, I think this guy, Wes Moore, is going to end up running. He will be a force to be reckoned with. And it's something that if you're sitting here in 2025, keep an eye on this guy, because the ones that actually want to go on places like Fox are the smart ones. The ones that don't are just trying to basically stay in their bubble, double down on the base, and that's only going to take you so far. And that's exactly what Quentin Lucas is doing here on KCMO. This was on X yesterday on the post that we put up with the mayor's podcast. Andrew writes to us, Pete, you have the patience of Job in these interviews. Well,
Such a nice man.
That's very nice of you. I wouldn't put myself on that level. I'm not going to go that far. That seems like a stretch to put me on the same level as Job. But, that's very kind of you on X yesterday. 913-408-7957 is the studio line and the text line here on KCMO. A couple other people were just like, vote him out. And I'm like, guys, it's too late for that. His term's up in 27, okay? It's done. It's over with. There's nothing else for you to do. Time has come, all right? You got a couple more years of the mayor, whether you like it or not. But to his credit, we get a couple more years of the conversation, because something tells me whoever ends up in that mayor's office next is not going to be willing to do a weekly spot here on KCMO. It's very unlikely that that's going to happen. So that's why I think there is that be careful what you wish for sentiment as well for many across Kansas City. And that is understandably a fair thing to be thinking right now, even though it's a couple of years out. It is great to be here on a Friday morning. Mark, are you lining up some parlays in there on a Friday? Is that what you are doing for the big college football weekend ahead?
I don't have anything yet.
Okay. Can you get me one for buy, sell, hold?
I think I can do that.
All right. We'll do buy, sell, hold. We do it every Friday morning at 8:45 here on KCMO. And usually during Chiefs season, Mark will give us a good Chiefs parlay. We got to wait one more week for that. So give me a taste of something here this weekend. Okay, Mark? Give me something good to work with.
I think we can do that.
All right. I'm excited. Well, speaking of football, we told you about the story Lamar Jackson, the quarterback of the Ravens. He got some flack. Was that last week? These weeks all blend together. He got some flack last week for retweeting Charlie Kirk on social media. And now another NFL quarterback in the AFC is also going viral for an old photo with Charlie Kirk. And it's a quarterback that the Chiefs see multiple times a year. We'll tell you who and what happened coming up next.
Dave Ramsey here, and you're listening to Pete Mundo on KCMO Talk Radio, now airing on FM at 95.7.
Looking forward to having Bill back next week. Good morning, 7:22 on a Friday. Glad you're here on KCMO Talk Radio. I don't want to have to like another quarterback in the AFC. No, don't make me do it. Please don't make me do it. But I might have to. So 2 weeks ago, it was Lamar Jackson who, I mean, he wasn't in hot water with anybody like who was actually a real person who like cares about normal stuff. But he got in some hot water for retweeting Charlie Kirk on X. He's the founder of Turning Point USA, a very popular conservative grassroots organization that has really made a big difference, especially with young people on college campuses. He retweeted Charlie Kirk saying, quote, "It's all about Jesus," end quote. Like, it wasn't even anything political, right? It was nothing about that post is political. But Lamar Jackson retweeted Charlie Kirk, and many on the internet lost their mind. And to Lamar Jackson's credit, the quarterback of the Baltimore Ravens, who the Chiefs, of course, beat in the playoffs every single year, it feels like, he just left it up there. He didn't back down. He didn't acquiesce. He didn't apologize because he has some agent in New York City who's like, "You're getting some heat for this. You should apologize." He just ignored it. And that's the best thing you can do with social media mobs. Ignore it. Okay, unless you genuinely feel you're wrong about something or you genuinely screw up, you just ignore it. And this is a great example of when you ignore it. Now, let's fast forward to yesterday. A video and a picture shows up of Charlie Kirk, the same guy, with Bo Nix, the quarterback of the Denver Broncos, who's now entering his second year with head coach Sean Payton. And they're actually a trendy pick for some in the AFC this year. They're getting Mark shaking his head. There's a lot of love for Denver this year, isn't there?
I've seen it. I don't know if I believe it, but I've seen it.
I've seen it too. A lot of people think that Bo Nix is going to take a big jump in year 2 under Sean Payton. So this was a picture from when Bo Nix was at the University of Oregon. The photo is like almost 2 years old at this point. And for some reason, it started making the rounds yesterday. And people are like, whoa, look at this photo of Bo Nix, a quarterback, with Charlie Kirk from his time at Oregon, where he was the quarterback. And the same thing happens. Social media mobs are now coming after Bo Nix. Now, Bo Nix hasn't said anything about this. He's largely ignored it. And that's exactly what he should do. Completely ignore this. I couldn't figure out why this old photo resurfaced of the Broncos quarterback with Charlie Kirk, but it doesn't matter. The other part of the story here, that's the first layer. Ignore it and basically tell the social media mob to pound sand. But the second part of this, you go under the layer here, one or two layers, and you also realize what we all know to be true. A lot of the NFL, especially when you talk about some of the star quarterbacks, are traditional in their lifestyles, are men of faith, and are going to naturally lean to the right. I'm not sitting here telling you that they're diehard Trump people. That's a different conversation. But they're guys who have traditional makeups, traditional backgrounds, traditional beliefs. You saw this in the quarterback shows the last couple of years. Kirk Cousins leaned into his faith heavily. He was not afraid to have that broadcast on Netflix. We know about, Mahomes. We know about Brittany Mahomes, some of the hot water that she ridiculously got into the last year or so with some of her reposts and reshares on Instagram. And now you have Lamar Jackson. You have Bo Nix. You have guys whose backgrounds are very different, right? You have white guys. You have black guys. But they have a very similar worldview. And that goes deeper than just the quarterback level. That is all across the NFL. It's there. The NFL is largely, when you look at the makeup of the players, a right-of-center league. And by the way, same thing with the fans, right? I mean, think about the guys that are sitting around on Sunday drinking beer, watching football, placing a sports bet here or there. I'm not saying it's across the board, but it's largely, if you were to poll them, a right-of-center fan league and player league. And I don't want the NFL to lean into that. Like, I don't want the NFL to be political. They got political in the wake of 2020, and now they're stuck putting these dumb phrases on the ends of the end zone, and they don't know how to get out of it, right? They got to have the "it takes all of us" and racism. Like, how many years do they have to put "end racism" in the end zone until we end racism? I'm still waiting for them to let us know how many seasons of putting "end racism" in the end zone it's going to take until we officially end racism. But there's no answer to that, John.
Fan base represents American society, though, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
As a whole.
Yeah. That's a good point. That's a good point as well. It does. So just for the C-suite executives, Roger Goodell and the people, a notch below them there in New York City, just understand who your players are, understand who your fans are, and don't lean into it necessarily. I like football because there's no politics for the most part. But don't feel like you've got to lean the other way because of social media mobs. Learn your lesson from 5 years ago. Travis and Taylor showed up for the first time in public since the engagement right here in Kansas City. We have the details and what the VP said next.
KCMO, Kansas City's place to talk. On 95.7 FM and 710 AM. A Cumulus media station. from the nation's heartland. It's Mundo in the Morning on 95.7 FM KCMO Talk Radio.
Well, he showed up last night at Arrowhead Stadium. It was quite a scene. About 80,000 Nebraska fans were at Arrowhead to watch the Huskers take on the Cincinnati Bearcats. Sorry, it might have been like 79,500 Nebraska fans and 500, Cincinnati fans who made the trip out west. I mean, it was basically Lincoln South last night.
I've never seen a home team with so many false starts. It was crazy.
Well, tell your boy Raiola, that quarterback up there, oh my gosh, dude, stop trying to be Mahomes with every mannerism. It's too much. It's just too much. He's trying too hard.
Yeah, I could see that.
As a kid who grew up in the 90s, Michael Jordan, a lot of people would try to mimic Michael Jordan with the tongue wag, the tongue out. There were mannerisms, kind of the limp on the court that he would sometimes express. But this guy's taking it to a whole new level. The haircut, the mannerisms, the jumping it's just too much.
Yeah, it's a lot.
It's like, and Mahomes is there. And, if I'm him, I'm telling Brittany, stay away from this guy, okay? I mean, please, stay away, John. I don't want any part of you. Get out of here, okay?
They train together in the offseason, so they're friends.
Listen, I'm all about admiring the best of the best. In every line of work, we all try to copy something from someone that we admire, that we think is great at what they do. But this is like next level. It's almost creeper status with this Nebraska quarterback and Mahomes. It's just insane. So Nebraska wins last night at Arrowhead Stadium, 20-17 over Cincinnati. But of course, Travis Kelce, who is a Cincinnati alum, is there to cheer on his team. And he shows up with his now fiance, Taylor Swift. And obviously, it got a lot of attention, but I saw on social media the Big Ten, which, of course, since Nebraska is a member of, they put on social media last night a picture of Travis and Taylor. And they write, get engaged, and then go watch Big Ten football. And it's like, guys, don't you realize he's there for the other team? He's there for Cincinnati, who's in the Big 12 Conference. Do you not understand why Travis Kelce was at the game last night? He was not there to watch Big Ten football. He was there to cheer on his alma mater, his Cincinnati Bearcats, and that's why the guy showed up at Arrowhead Stadium last night. And I didn't know if he was going to show up because I didn't know if he was going to want his first appearance with his fiance to be at a Cincinnati football game. But to his credit and to her credit, they were there. She was there all dressed up like it's a Chiefs game, and they were just soaking it all in. I was impressed by it. I guess they're like, hey, you know what? We're here. We're in town. Let's go to the stadium. And I couldn't help but think about the story from when Travis went to the Taylor Swift concert a couple of years ago, tried to meet her, and he's like, oh, I know the elevator lady. I'll be able to get in. I was thinking about it last night. I'm like, I wonder if he just showed up to the stadium or if he learned his lesson that even though you play there, there's still a protocol you have to go through to actually get yourself into a game, into a suite, even if you are one of the biggest stars in that stadium every Sunday.
He has the credential.
Well, we tried to get Mark a credential to the game, but, when I applied to get Mark a credential, they put his name in as Martin, not Mark.
Ugh.
So it became this whole thing where, Mark would have had to go and show ID and fill out like all this information, but they put his name down as Martin, even though I applied for him as Mark. So now he's like in this spot where I'm like, Mark, what do you want to do? I reach out to people. I'm like, you guys have his name wrong. He won't get in because you have his name down as Martin. He's going to show you ID that says Mark, and you're not going to let him in. And they never responded to the email.
Yeah, I feel like if I would have showed up at Arrowhead, which I thought about doing, but I was like, I'm going to show up. The elevator lady's not going to let me in.
No.
It's not going to happen.
No. I just don't know how you go from Mark to Martin. I don't get that.
Martin sounds more appropriate for a guy who's been on Ted Lasso. I think. Sounds more English. More
It
British.
does.
I just imagine on press row, though, they have Martin Van Sickle, Heartland College Sports, right there, even though I wasn't there.
Empty seat.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. Yeah, no, it was an empty seat. That's for sure. That's too bad, though, because I wanted to get Mark into the game last night. But
Where's Martin? Where is
he? Where's Martin? Where's old Martin Van Sickle? Oh, man. Now, J.D. Vance, the Vice President of the United States, has commented on this Travis Taylor engagement. He joined USA Today for a sit-down interview, and here's what the VP had to say.
Final question I have to ask you. The biggest news of the last 24 hours, Kansas City Chiefs, Travis Kelce, Taylor Swift getting engaged. She endorsed your opponent in the last election.
She did.
Do you think that Americans just want celebrities to butt out of politics?
You know, I think by and large, people want politicians to focus on politics, and they want celebrities to focus on whatever it is that made them famous, whether it's singing or dancing or acting. But, you know, I'm a romantic. When I see two people who are in love getting married, I just wish them the best, and I congratulate them, and I hope they have a very long and healthy and happy life together. I will say, as a football fan, as a Cincinnati Bengals fan, I hope that the NFL does not put a thumb on the scale for the Kansas City Chiefs just because Travis Kelce is now getting married to maybe the most famous woman in the world. You guys can't sort of have this. I'm worried they're going to have like a Super Bowl wedding thing this season. Can't do it. The Kansas City Chiefs have to follow the same rules as everybody else. So if we see the refs being particularly friendly to Kansas City Chiefs players, then I think all football fans should be willing to push back on the NFL and say, look, you guys got to be fair. Just because Travis is getting married to Taylor, you still can't put your thumb on the scale for the Kansas City Chiefs.
Thank you so much for your time, Mr. Vice President.
Good to see you.
Well, you know, J.D. Vance is a great politician, but none of us are perfect. And J.D. Vance just proved it with a salty Bengals take right there. Man, come on, J.D. You're better than that.
No one is above the law.
Yeah. Okay, J.D. We get it. Good gosh. He sounds like a salty Bengals fan. Man. Oh, I hope that doesn't help the Chiefs. Okay, J.D. Worry about your offensive line,
He's
okay?
a Browns fan, even.
Yeah.
Even worse.
No, see, if he was a Browns fan, he would have been in such bad shape. He's not even salty. You can't even be salty when you're a Browns fan. You know? It's like you're just trying to win 3 games this season if you're a Browns fan. So, but the first part of what J.D. said right there stood out to me. Like President Trump, he took the high ground when it comes to Travis and Taylor. He wished them well. That's the same thing that President Trump did 2 days ago when he reacted and he said this. And I think there's a reason. Not only because it's the right response, but I actually think that there could be a political calculation to the president and the vice president just taking the high road on this.
I have to tell you, the biggest pop culture news of the year broke while we were in this cabinet meeting. Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift are engaged, and the world wants your reaction, sir.
Well, I wish him a lot of luck.
I
think he's a great player. I think he's a great guy, and I think that she's a terrific person. So I wish them a lot of luck.
On a serious note.
So Taylor Swift is quickly turning out to be somebody, and I said this 2 days ago when it was first announced. She is turning out to be somebody who, yes, may advocate for things that are left-leaning, but the more I hear from her, the more you see her actions, the more you see the way she lives her life. She is someone who largely represents traditional values. When Taylor Swift's on the New Heights podcast 2 weeks ago, in as unfiltered a setting as she's ever been in, she came across like somebody who had very traditional values. She's like, I don't go through my Instagram. I try to avoid it. I'm not looking at my DMs. I want to be in the home. I want to make sourdough bread and Pop-Tarts for the guys, and I like to sew. And she said this herself. I've got hobbies and interests of people from the 1700s. If you listen to the interview with Ed Kelsey that he did with a local TV station in Cleveland, apparently she was getting antsy. And she was like, when are we getting engaged? When is this going to happen? Knowing full well, once the NFL season kicks off, Travis is not going to be proposing mid-season. she was getting antsy, as every woman who is in love and wants to get engaged does, understandably. She fell in love. She fell in love with the macho man, with the football player. She didn't fall in love with one of these Hollywood winky dinks that, she had dated in the past. Did I just make up the term winky dink? I don't even know what that is. It just sounded
No,
good.
that was a cartoon character, so.
Oh, really?
I don't know that you would have actually seen Winky Dink.
Yeah, I have no idea what a winky dink is. It just sounded like a
no,
good way
be careful which part of town you say that.
It just sounded like something that would describe Taylor Swift's ex-boyfriends. So she falls in love with the guy's guy. She wants to get engaged. She talks about her interests. Like, everything about this is someone who is not in line with what she has professed to believe over most of her adult life. So I think there's a part of this from whether it's Trump, JD, they're looking at this and they're saying, you know what? I mean, Taylor deep down is one of us. She just may not know it yet. She's coming around. And by the way, it can change society. It can change American culture for the next generation with all these Swifties, because I'm telling you, it's not a guarantee that when you get married and you have kids, you shift to the right a little bit. But, the proof is in the pudding. It does happen. And when you look at the voting blocks of people who lean right and lean left, there's a reason that oftentimes people who are married with kids will lean to the right. Your values change. The things that you care about change. The things that are important to you change. It's not by accident. It's not a coincidence. And that's what I think a lot of people are noticing with Travis and Taylor. 913-408-7957. Mike is in Olathe on KCMO. What's up, Mike?
Yeah, I didn't want to step on your soliloquy there. That was beautiful. She's actually proven to not be a bimbo that you might have thought she is. She's literally got some core values, and honestly, I'm loving all of this, and it's a great example for traditional marriage and courting and all the things that seem to be dying on the vine a little bit with young people. But my point was going to be, but I think what you said is beautiful. It was perfect. But I was listening to JD, and I'm going, how does JD have Chiefs derangement syndrome? Is it because they win just like his boss that created the Trump derangement syndrome and his personality? I don't understand, but even the good people, my uncle in L.A., he's a diehard Rams fan, hates it when the Chiefs, everybody thinks the Chiefs get a break. They all have Chiefs derangement syndrome, so even JD, a straight up guy, has Chiefs derangement syndrome, and it's really kind of interesting, a little perplexing. But again, that's a funny comment, but your stuff about Taylor and this relationship, that's exactly how most of us are feeling. I love it, and it's good for both of them. It's good for marriage. I love it.
Listen, if that relationship leads to millions of people getting married and having kids, this country is going to be much better off than it was. It's really just, if you want to break it down to the most simplest form, if millions of Swifties now are like, okay, well, Taylor's giving me the green light. I want to fall in love. I want to get married. I want to have kids. The shift that we've seen the last 2 years in this country is only going to continue on steroids. It's really that simple when you break it all down. Coming up on KCMO, we have some new economic data that just dropped. Depending on how you want to look at it, it could be good. I don't want to call it bad, but it may not be so good. And it will get overlooked ahead of the holiday weekend, but it shouldn't. We'll share it coming up next on KCMO.
Stream Mundo in the morning on the KCMO Talk Radio app.
I honestly can't believe I thought I made up a word in Winky Dink, and now I'm looking online and it looks like it's a TV show from the 1950s, so go figure. I mean, that's unbelievable stuff. I feel like Bill O'Reilly making a 1950s reference. The difference is, it's 30 years before I was born. So, all right, we got some inflation data here that just came out in the last 20 minutes or so. PCE, Personal Consumption Expenditure Price Index, showed that core inflation, excluding food and energy costs, rose 2.9%, according to the Commerce Department on Friday. This was about 20 minutes ago that this information came out. So this is the highest inflation number since February. Will it stop them from cutting interest rates next month? Probably not. Is it concerning? Absolutely. This number was 2.8% last month, 2.7% the month before that, was down to 2.6 in April. So this is the highest number that we've seen on this inflation report since February. Personal consumption expenditures. Now, the good news is that it came in line with the expectations. The bad news is it's trending back up. And, the Fed's target has always been 2% inflation. That's what they've had for years as their inflation goal. And the fear here is that 3% is becoming the new 2% on inflation, where suddenly we're going to normalize 3% inflation every single year, which is going to be killer for most people. I mean, unless you're invested in the markets and you can basically, I don't want to say guarantee, but the historical averages would suggest you'll be able to beat inflation if you're invested in the markets, even if inflation is 3%. But for a lot of Americans who are just trying to get by, this is not good for them. Unless you guarantee that wages beat inflation, and even then, I mean, if wages go up an average of 3.5%, you're barely beating inflation at 3%, barely, if at all, right? So you got to look at this number and say, man, is this really the time for the Fed to cut interest rates? I understand there are reasons that they should consider it. I really do get it. You see somewhat of a softening in the labor market, not true softening, not like mass layoffs or anything like that, but you do see a bit of a softening in the labor market, which has led Jerome Powell and the Fed to suggest that coming up in September, they'll probably cut interest rates maybe 0.25 percentage point is probably what we're looking at. Not a big cut, but just something to try to juice consumer spending a little bit. It'll be good for those who want to buy cars and, houses and things like that. It should be good for them. Doesn't guarantee it, but it should be good. But then, does that risk making inflation even worse? Right? If your goal is to juice consumer spending and you're already higher than you want to be by 50%, it's not about like, oh, it's 3 versus 2%. That's a 50% difference when you do the math. Is that really the move right now for the Federal Reserve? And that's where that dirty word stagflation potentially comes into play. And the only people who can really benefit during a time of stagflation are the super wealthy, or, of course, the poor who are on government benefits. Everybody else in the middle mostly is going to get squeezed here. So that's where I know that, Trump's all about cutting rates and all this stuff, but you got to be careful what you wish for. And the biggest thing that you can do to get this stuff under control is to cut the spending. And they still didn't do enough of that. And the big, beautiful bill, as it was dubbed, was never as beautiful as the supporters made it out to be. I understand they thought they had to get something done, but there's a lot in that bill that potentially is going to lead to this potential stagflation seeping into the American economy. And that is not going to be good for anybody at all when you look at what could be to come. So the markets are down a little bit to start the pre-trading hours. Of course, it'll open up here in just over 30 minutes. We'll see how the markets ultimately react on KCMO Talk Radio. News in 2 minutes, and then we're back with the latest out of one of our major counties dealing with a housing crisis. We'll explain it next. If you are a Jackson County homeowner, the mess continues. Missouri's top tax authority has ordered a new property values for dozens of Jackson County homes, again overturning the county's 2023 assessments after finding widespread errors. So this decision came down this week. It was reported yesterday by local news that the state tax commission set aside the county Board of Equalization's ruling and recalculated the 2023 assessed values for over 600 properties listed in the case. The decision applies only to properties without new construction or improvements and caps increases at no more than 15% over their 2022 values. Now, here's the question that I have. And if you're a Jackson County homeowner, I mean, you have been through the rigmarole. There you go. I got it out there, John. I spit it out eventually on a Friday. I'll get around. There you go. Thank you. You've been through the ringer. How about that? On this screw job from your county for now 2 straight assessments. You don't even know if your assessment from 2 cycles ago is correct, right? I mean, a lot of people think that they got hosed in the assessment from now going on 3 years ago at this point. Never mind trying to figure out if the most recent one is right. So if you're a Jackson County homeowner right now and you're trying to figure out, is my assessment anywhere close to accurate? I've got lawsuits, I've got appeals, I've got state tax commission hearings that I'm trying to figure out what the heck I'm supposed to do with my property taxes based on my assessment. I mean, you're sitting there and you're just throwing your hands up and you're like, what do I do at this point? What do I do? How does this end? Well, it ends on September 30th. It ends when this county, I believe, ends up recalling Executive Frank White. And at least the emotional nightmare is over. And that's why, you see Frank White going out there and playing the woe is me game. And, listen, it's sad. The guy admitted last week that he had cancer during the last election. I'm not sure what that has to do with him being recalled next month or staying on the job for another 14 months if he were to win his recall election next month. All I know is the sympathy from Jackson County is over. And it's nothing personal. In fact, for a guy who has shown no empathy and no sympathy for his own constituents, it's very difficult to show it back. I'm not saying you shouldn't. I mean, if you're a person of faith, you can still show empathy and sympathy for somebody who has not shown it to you. It's hard. I would readily admit it is hard to do, but you can do it. I do it. I try to do it. But it's not easy. Especially when for 2+ years now, we've had report after report. We've heard from caller after caller on this show on KCMO, and you've seen folks on TV as well, saying, I don't know if I can stay in my house. I don't know if I can afford to live in the home that in many cases people own outright. But what do you have? You have, senior citizens on fixed incomes, their house is paid off, and they're literally getting taxed out of it. They're getting taxed out of an unrealized gain because of the incompetency of their county government. And the guy in charge has shown no sympathy for you, no empathy for you for going on 3 years now. And then he breaks out the I had cancer card, which he did last week when he was running for re-election back in 22. And we're all supposed to be like, oh, man, you know what? Fine. Just, I won't vote to recall you. Stay on the job for another year. It's all good. Like that takes balls, okay? That takes some stones to take that approach after everything this county's been through over the last 3 years under Frank White's leadership. It really does. And now if you're a resident, if you're a homeowner, I know many of you are counting down the days to September 30th. It is a month from tomorrow. So clear the calendars. A month from tomorrow, you're going to get to vote. on the recall of your county executive. And since we're not on the air tomorrow, since it's Saturday, I wanted to make sure I brought this up today as we basically are sitting here on the 1 month countdown. We should probably get a countdown clock in the studio, kind of like they do, for the Super Bowl on TV.
You'll want to get your catering requests in as well at Fiorillo's and different places.
Hey, don't forget about Grandma's Catering. They take care of us every Monday morning.
A wide variety, great food.
Yeah, absolutely.
Lunch, breakfast, dinner, whatever you need.
We get lasagna at 7 a.m. on a Monday. What more could you ask for
That's
here?
radio for you in a nutshell.
That's true. We're ready for lunch at 7 o'clock in the morning.
Well, you've already been up a couple hours.
Yeah.
It's about lunchtime.
It is. You're right. So, that's something right there that people cannot wait for. I know it. I hear from you every single day on this. The text line is 913-4087-957. Also the studio line here on KCMO. This is on the text line. Pete, I have been counting down this day for weeks. It's coming. It's right around the corner. It will be a reason for many of you to celebrate. And you can have empathy and sympathy for Frank White while still saying, dude, you're done. This relationship is over. There's probably a Taylor Swift song that works for the relationship between Frank White and Jackson County. I'm sure there's one we could think of that's out there that a Swiftie would give us.
The countdown thing, you can do the time-honored boomer tradition. In school, they would keep us busy with little strips of paper, and you would glue them together in a loop to make a little paper chain.
Yeah.
And green and red. And so you would pull one off as we got closer to Christmas, we'd pull off a loop
That's
of
what
the
we
chain.
should do.
So,
we should do that.
yeah, if you want. Boomers know how to do it, man. Little paper, scissors, boom.
There you go. I love that.
One Taylor Swift song that comes to mind, we are never, ever, ever
There you
getting
go.
back together.
Oh, Mark, you got to work on those vocals.
I know. I didn't want to go full out.
You could do it. I mean, you sing in the church band. You got to show off your stuff, man. You can't sing in the church band and then sound like that.
I know. I was trying to sound more like Taylor.
Oh, you were? You were going a little octave higher or two than normal?
exactly.
All right. Well, yeah, Frank White's done. The county does not want to get back together with Frank White. And it shouldn't want to get back together with Frank White. All right? It's over. It's done. It's time to move on. This is one of those moments that I know that as we go into the Labor Day weekend, people are excited about. On the text line, 913-408-7957. Pete, you said the most important thing right there. Frank has shown, without a shadow of a doubt, that he could care less. Yeah, I know. You look at it and you say the guy, he just doesn't at all. He
Before
is not
you get
interested.
the text, it's could not, right?
Could not.
Before
Yes,
you get the text. there.
Yes,
So-
the text correcting the text. yes.
Yeah, that's coming. If
He
it's not
could
here.
not care less.
Yes.
You're right about that. And that's been the most offensive part of the whole thing, right? The fact that he has shown that he does not give a rip. And tomorrow, the 1 month countdown begins. Let's go. 913-408-7957. It is great to be here on a Friday morning leading into Labor Day weekend on KCMO Talk Radio 95.7 FM. We're always streaming on the KCMO Talk Radio app. Who is shutting it down early, though? We'll get to that here in Kansas City coming up.
Call Mundo 913-408-7957. Now on 95.7 FM.
I know many of you may have the day off. If you do have the day off, you can always stream us on the iHeartRadio app or on the KCMO Talk Radio app, or just tell your Google or Alexa to play KCMO Talk Radio. But schools are obviously set for a long weekend, but one school district in particular is having an extra long weekend. That's Holy Name of Jesus Catholic Church in KCK. Why? Well, because of a COVID-19 outbreak at the school. Now, you can't sit here and rag on anything public school related because it's a private school. They're obviously allowed to do what they think they need to do to keep people safe. So this is not a public school thing. This is not about anything broader beyond this school district. But it does concern me that we're seeing this. And my fear is that because it becomes part of a trend where suddenly there's going to be an extra focus and highlight on COVID in 2025 that wasn't there in 24, in 2023, and even in 2022. And why might that be? Well, that might be because of a broader political angle that people are going to want to take. And I so want to be wrong about this. Let me be very clear. I have no interest in being right about any of this. I'm just floating out the idea that, God forbid, there are more of these COVID cases under whatever strain we're going to call this, the Alpha, Omega, there's going to be 7 other Greek words and letters that come after that too, I'm sure. People are going to say, see, you know where they're going to point the finger, right? I mean, listen, this is very predictable. You know where it's going, right? We all understand.
COVID-19 IA plus.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Boom, boom, boom.
Yes. They are going to look at RFK. They're going to say, see, this is why you can't, God forbid, fire anybody ever from the CDC. They're going to look at, obviously, the big guy, the big boss.
Nobody cares.
That's what they're going to do. That's my fear on where this is going to trend. I saw that Fox 4 reported on this last night, and they brought up that guy, Dana Hawkinson, University of Kansas Health System. Nice guy. He's been on the show before. But I mean this with all due respect. I really never want to hear from that guy again. Not because I have any ill will against him, but his face and his name just reminds me of COVID. And most people want to forget that. I'm not saying he's Dr. Fauci, right? I'm not saying there's a case to be made to put him in prison or anything like that, like some of these people, okay? I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying the people that were most prominent locally and nationally during COVID-19 are generally people I want to forget about. Unless it's former KCMO Health Director Rex Archer.
Thanksgiving. Boy, I love Thanksgiving.
I mean, any chance to goof on that slob, I'm happy to do here on 95.7 FM. And Mark, hey, we're getting close to Thanksgiving, man.
I know, it's the best drop.
Exactly. Wait, we're inside of 3 months now. Let's go, baby.
Football season, then Thanksgiving.
Before you know it, the Rex Archer drop is
loaf.
Yeah.
I love it.
The Rex Archer drop's coming back. Okay, it's coming again. Here we go. The former KCMO health director who famously or infamously said in 2020, you're better off jumping out of a second-story window than going out to eat in a restaurant. He literally said that.
Or sleeping with the missus.
Yeah, yeah, that's right.
I miss all the fun stuff before I started working with you guys.
Yeah. You weren't here for that, Mark. This guy, the fun stuff, yes.
Mm-hmm.
If I want to remember anything from COVID, it's former Kansas City Health Director Rex Archer coming on this show in the spring of 2020 and talking about how he's not sleeping in the same bed as his wife because they don't want to give each other COVID. And I was thinking to myself, dude, this is her great excuse to not have to sleep in bed with you. Are you kidding me? Yeah. I mean, this is a godsend to her. She's like, finally, I can get this guy out of my bed. He's snoring every night. He's breathing.
Taking up too much of the bed.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, geez, he's always bumping into me with that big old beer belly. It's like, enough. Get him out. Go to another room, okay? Yeah, exactly right. So, there are just certain people that I don't want to hear from again. And my fear is that we're going to go into overdrive, and local media is going to be now reporting COVID cases like it's July of 2020 because it fits a political narrative and agenda. And I hope I'm wrong. I want no part of it. But I can't help but think that that is something that may be coming at some point. 913-408-7957. In the meantime, did you see this from the Cracker Barrel CEO? Or I should say the Cracker Barrel co-founder? This guy is an absolute stud. He's 93 years old. He's worth millions and millions and millions, hundreds of millions of dollars. And he's kicking absolute butt. He goes on local TV in Tennessee, where he lives, and he rips the CEO for the new logo that they tried to roll out that, of course, to their credit, they backtracked on. Here was Tommy Lowe, WTVF, and what he had to say about the near disaster of the logo rebrand.
Logo rolled out the other day.
Oh, that's crazy. That's nothing. That's a bland nothing. It's pitiful.
Do you think she knows the story of Cracker Barrel?
I don't think so. I heard she was a Taco Bell, but what's Taco Bell know about a Cracker Barrel? And country food. And the food is something that they need to work on. Spending $700 million to do that is all I've been doing. I'm just throwing money out the street.
What a genius. At 93 years old, the guy has more common sense than everybody at the C-suite level at Cracker Barrel that spent $700 million on that disaster of a rebrand that then they had to walk back. Go figure. Sometimes these people make it so much more complicated than it ever needed to be. And for this guy to basically say, yeah, they don't know what they're doing. They're out of touch. This is what you get when the corporation gets so big and the people in charge have no connection with the customers anymore. I mean, look at the C-suite folks at Cracker Barrel. Look at the CEO. You think she actually ever wants to eat there? Or do you think she took the job because it was a cushy 7-figure gig? You're not going to turn down the potential to be a CEO of a major corporation. You take it, you cash the check, and then you try to put basically your fingerprints on it, and you have no idea what you're doing because you don't connect with the regular folks who actually consume the product. You've seen it ad nauseum over the last few years in major businesses across the country, right? I mean, Bud Light is obviously example number one. We saw that one.
Normalize the bulge. We are normalizing the bulge.
I mean, we've seen it all over the place, way too often. But to Cracker Barrel's credit, they just bailed on the whole thing. They just said, you know what? Sorry, screwed that one up. And that is one thing I give them a lot of credit for. But when you've got one of the co-founders who's 93 years old being like, yeah, that was pretty stupid, maybe you should have made that call in the first place just to get his feedback and reaction.
What does Taco Bell know about a Cracker Barrel? That's my favorite line.
Yeah, that's great. That is the guy actually reminds me of my neighbor. He's not 93, but he's probably 80. He might be 83. I don't know. But he sounds just like that guy, Tommy Lowe. And yesterday, this guy's in his 80s. I see him out there in the backyard on his John Deere tractor mowing the lawn. And I'm like, what a stud, man. What an absolute stud. He's redoing his windows right now. I'm like, dude, you must think you got a lot of time left here in this pretty big house. Redoing the windows in your 80s, riding the John Deere. It's like, you know what? It's true, though. A lot of it is about how you act at that age and how you live your life. If you just sit around, you're going to go fast. If you stay sharp, if you're on that John Deere, you're going to be okay.
I had an uncle who was always doing DIY projects, lived till he was 100.
That's the way to do it, man. Keep that brain moving. Keep that body moving.
See your neighbor out there popping wheelies on that thing. At the front end off the ground.
I mean, I got my push mower, and I'm sometimes like, dude, can you slide over this way? can I let you into my fence here and, go through the gate and you can just do my lawn while you're at it? But I figured that'd be kind of rude to ask an 80-year-old guy to mow a guy under 40's lawn. It's probably not a good look for me. I should be probably offering to mow his lawn. But, we're all busy. 913-408-7957. Buy, sell, hold is coming up at the end of the hour. And then Micheal Mahoney, Channel 9, is in studio. Irish Fest, a lot of news in Kansas City and more coming up.
Hey, it's Kevin Keatsman. Stick around. I'm coming up at 10 o'clock right after Pete Mundo on KCMO 95.7 FM.
Well, Emmanuel Cleaver has chimed in. Yes, he has said something beyond the obvious.
You mustard moo.
Emmanuel Cleaver, of course, Kansas City's congressman, Missouri's 5th congressional district. He's not happy, as you would imagine, about the news that is likely coming down potentially today. In fact, I think it will come down today that Missouri Governor Mike Kehoe is going to call a special session to redistrict the Missouri congressional map. Now, what this will do is take Missouri from having 6 Republicans in Congress and 2 Democrats to having 7 Republicans in the House of Representatives and 1 Democrat. And Emmanuel Cleaver's district will basically be squeezed out. It will be gerrymandered, let's be very clear. I'm not going to pretend that that's not what's going on here. It is gerrymandering. But Emmanuel Cleaver saying what he said to KCUR, which is, the National Panhandler radio affiliate here in Kansas City, is very much disingenuous. Emmanuel Cleaver telling KCUR, quote, "I think democracy is being damaged. I've said over and over again to my Republican colleagues, if you continue with this, understand you need to dig 3 graves," says the Reverend. 1 for yourself, 1 for the Democrats, and 1 for the Republic, he says, John.
What a drama king. Give me a break.
Yeah.
Let's just stuff the Supreme Court.
Yeah,
let's get rid of the Electoral College.
Yes. Thank
we
you.
got a grave site for those?
Because
so that'd be 5 graves.
He adds here, because nobody wins when we continue to tear apart the fabric right now of our republic. Would he say that to the state of Illinois, which is about 90% Democrat seats to Republican seats? Would he say that to Maryland, which is already a 7-1 breakdown with their 8 congressional districts? Would he say that to Gavin Newsom? I'm not saying that what Missouri is about to do is right. I've actually disagreed with it since it's been announced. I have concerns over, splitting up his district, what that would mean for the other districts, making them more competitive for Mark Alford and Sam Graves and whatever this other district ends up looking like. I think there are legitimate concerns there. And, I understand, Kansas City is a mostly blue city and probably deserves blue representation. So I've been against it. But at the same time, the best argument here is basically look at what our political opponents have done to their states. And it's actually not a bad argument at all. Because how do you defend it on the other side if you're Emmanuel Cleaver? If you're Gavin Newsom, if you're J.B. Pritzker in Illinois, if you're, any of the national folks in the party, how do you possibly defend the moves that your own party has made on some of this stuff? You really can't. So is it kind of the 2 wrongs which shouldn't make a right, do make a right? Yeah, I guess.
Same stuff, different decade.
Exactly. I'm not saying that there's not hypocrisy here. There is. But the same people now crying foul, like Emmanuel Cleaver, are not doing the obvious, which is looking in the freaking mirror and realizing in part how we got here.
Well, just look at a map of a district.
Yeah.
I mean, I imagine most voters, they might know what district you're in, but they don't know the boundaries of it.
No.
We were just looking at Mark Alford's, goes clear out by Columbia, but just the northern half of it. The one in Illinois you and I were joking about, it's crazy. What's about
it's a snake.
6 blocks wide and goes across the state.
Yes.
It's so tell me that people in that district all have the same. It's just lines, it's machinations we're playing, and we all start screaming, oh, you're cheating.
Yeah.
Until it's your turn to cheat.
Exactly. And that's what's going on now. Basically, the Republicans are giving the Democrats a dose of their own medicine. And I don't like it. In a perfect world, it wouldn't be the case. But it's the nasty game of politics that has been around since the beginning of time. All right, that's exactly what this is. And I'm admitting full-blown gerrymandering, full stop. That's what's going on here, okay? That's what Mike Kehoe is going to announce, a special session to gerrymander Missouri, especially Kansas City. I won't deny that for a second. But it's very difficult to sit there and be outraged by it if you haven't been outraged by it in the past. If you haven't sat there in the past and been like, this is wrong, this should not be happening, and now you are, it's nearly impossible for you to do. 913-408-7957. That's our studio line and the text line, as always, here on KCMO Talk Radio. Buy, sell, hold is coming up. We got Mike Mahoney in studio for our Feature Friday 9 o'clock segment. Let's go to Chris. He's first up on KCMO. Chris, good morning.
Good morning, Pete. About the redistricting, I would make a football analogy to the tush push. If you're going to have the play be legal, the other teams that aren't as effective as the Eagles in this situation better learn how to play. And that's what better learn the play and use it to their own advantage. And that's what the gerrymandering, that's how I view the gerrymandering. I would also say it would be really nice if the districts just generally gave a similar amount of representation to each state based upon, how it votes nationally, if you understand my meaning. That all Republicans want is a level playing field. So we don't. If we have to play with the tush push, we'll learn the tush push. That would be. And I also don't think that heavily urbanized areas, like you say, Kansas City deserves blue representation. Okay, but how far does the pie extend outward into each of the counties or deeper into the state? It doesn't mean, if you look at the map of Illinois, you've literally got 15 seats layered on top of each other in Cook County. And that's where the gerrymandering to me is. It's not the goofy-looking Republican districts out in the middle of nowhere that are isolated and get their one vote. It's the 30 seats on top of Los Angeles that creates the problem.
Yeah, Chicago. Yeah, no, you're right about that. I mean, absolutely. You're right about that in terms of how they draw it in some of these other states. And I like the tush-push analogy. If that's how the rules are going to be, then you got to play by those rules. Don't just complain about the rules. Did I see Nebraska try tush-push last night on a 3rd and short? Did you see that, Mark? I think it was in the first half.
I believe they did.
I thought they pulled that off out at Arrowhead Stadium.
People were nervous because they thought Mahomes was doing the tush push, but it was just Dylan Raiola.
Don't get me started. Do not get me started on that Nebraska quarterback. He's trying too hard to be Mahomes. Like, dude, and he looked like crap, especially in the first half. I mean, you can't say you're the wannabe Mahomes and play like he played for the first half, at least last night. You just can't do it. Come on now. That's not a good look. But that caller, Chris is spot on in terms of, hey, if this is how the rules are, then this is what we're going to play by. And if you want to be upset about it, well, then you know what? Figure out a way to make it more fair. But the other thing I wouldn't do is say we're going to have federal judges draw the lines. Because there's nothing about that. You know and I know. There's nothing about that that's going to go well. We'll have federal judges drawing the lines? Oh, my goodness. That is a disaster waiting to happen. Before I get to buy, sell, hold, earlier in the week, remember I polled you guys on the idea of partaking in a DEI panel coming up in a couple of weeks.
Civility bells and all.
Yes, the group that uses the civility bells. Well, I agreed to do it. And the reason I agreed to do it is because, first off, the people who are putting on the DEI panel, I respect. I'm hopeful they will do a good job, even though I know I'm going into, the lion's den here with this whole thing. What do I say all the time? I say all the time, we need more people to go into settings where people disagree with them. I felt it would have been hypocritical for me to not take up the opportunity to do that. So it's going to be at Rockhurst University on Tuesday, September, whatever that is, 9th, at Rockhurst University. I'll be on this panel on DEI. And I know I'm going to be the only one who thinks the whole thing is one great scam. I know it. I mean, they're flying in people from New York colleges and all these different places. I know what the audience is going to be, but I'm doing it. So if you're looking for something to do on Tuesday, September 9th, I wouldn't mind the backup, okay? That's all I'm going to say about it. I'm going to roll in there. I'm going to hook slide in there a little before 6 when it happens. They told me they'd take me out to dinner. I said, it's okay. I'll eat chicken nuggets with the kids at home, okay? That'll be my pregame meal. I'll show up, I'll do the panel, and then I'm going to hit the road. But I felt it would have been hypocritical for me not to take advantage of this and not do this when I say we've got to put ourselves in situations with people who disagree with us.
Do you want to borrow the Harvard hat just to, come in undercover a little bit?
I could borrow your Harvard hat, Mark. I don't know if they want hats on stage. Let me see what it looks like. Do you have sweat stains all over it, or is it in pretty good shape?
It's in pretty good shape.
No, that's his formal one.
Yeah, the
That's
Oregon
the formal
Coast
wear.
ones.
Oh, okay. No lice in there or anything like that?
No, we're good.
No dandruff? Okay.
Yeah.
It looks good.
It says Ivy on the side of it.
Yeah, those New York City, multi-degree hot shots are going to be real impressed when I show up on stage in my Harvard hat.
With it backwards.
Well, I'm going to be out there, so I'm going to do it, and we'll see what happens. And we'll update you as we get closer here on KCMO. Buy, sell, hold. 3 questions on a Friday morning we will get to coming up next.
It's Mundo in the Morning. Now on FM at 95.7. Set a preset on your radio. KCMO Talk Radio.
It's a Friday morning. It's 8:47. That means one thing here on KCMO.
It's time to buy, sell,
How about a damn 12 and a half, 15?
and hold.
All right, John, 3 questions on a Friday morning. Buy, sell, hold. What is on the rundown, my man?
Buy, sell, or hold. U.S. Representative Mark Alford owned himself at his recent town hall meeting.
Sell. I'm not just saying that because, he's a friend of the show, but when I saw the headline from Mediaite, and this is a news site that covers, viral moments in media, they write this headline, "Watch, House Republican blurts out a wicked self-own when confronted by angry constituent at town hall." I'm like, oh, gosh. And there's a big picture of Mark Alford. I'm like, oh, no. What did Mark say? And then I hear the clip, and I'm like, how is this a self-own? Here's what Mark Alford had to say at a town hall.
Here's the problem. I kind of have to disprove a negative in that come January. Ma'am, did you want to yell something back there? Stand up.
Hi.
Okay, if you didn't want to hear my lies, why did you come here? All right? If you don't want to hear anything I say, why don't you come here? All right?
You can tell that Mark was getting a little worked up with the inflection in his voice there, right? You could tell. He was just getting a little worked up, which I don't blame him. Imagine standing there with just 50 people screaming at you.
Well, it's kind of like riding a school bus. So
Yeah, it's bad. So the notion that his line of, if you didn't want to hear my lies, why'd you show it up? It's like, well, he's clearly, you can hear the tone is clearly sarcastic, right? So it's not clear what the person, the heckler, said to him. But he responds by saying, if you didn't want to hear my lies, why did you show up? There's nothing about that that's like out of line because he's responding with sarcasm. Even though his voice did inflect up. He had a little Jim Mora inflection there, didn't he?
Playoffs? Don't talk about it. Playoffs? You kidding me? Playoffs? I just hope we can win a game.
It wasn't quite that dramatic, but
Yeah.
there was a little Jim Mora inflection there going on.
TIC, tongue-in-cheek, was there. I could
totally.
hear it.
Totally.
Yeah.
So that was the other night. That was Wednesday night in Harrisburg, out by Columbia. And he's doing 15 town halls all over the place.
Right? Is it now our source is Mediaite or is it Mediaite? I'm wondering. Yeah.
Oh, man. But God bless Mark. He's doing like 15 town halls. All of Congress is home here until after Labor Day. And Mark's one of the few representatives going into these town halls. And he's facing the heat. And it's probably good preparation for him based on what's to come when they redistrict Missouri, and he probably has a lot more Democrats in Kansas City who are going to be his constituents. And Mark's going to handle it like a pro. Listen, whether you agree or disagree, the guy spent 30 years in television. Might be more than that, but 30-plus years in television. That prepares you for this moment. And he is well-suited to be a guy who is, I think, going to handle this very well, as he's likely going to get more blue areas of Missouri into his district when all is said and done.
2 hours and 15 minutes after it was over, he took questions.
Yeah, that's
for
amazing.
2 hours, yeah.
Jeez. What's next there?
Buy, sell, or hold, the latest inflation report that was out this morning.
I'm selling it.
Sorry, that's not an option.
Yeah. I'm selling it. If you missed it, it came in at 2.9%, and that was in line with the expectations. This is the personal consumption expenditures. That shows core inflation, which excludes food and energy costs. Now, you might say, hey, it's certainly better than it was under the last guy. I mean, yes, that's a very low bar, though. The target for inflation for the Federal Reserve for decades has been 2%, and we have not seen 2% now in basically 6 years since before COVID. I'm not doing cartwheels over 2.9%. I'm just not doing it. Okay? And that's partially because you basically have to figure out how to get earnings up 3+% or more year over year just to make sure people feel like they got the same lifestyle they had 1 year ago. And that's what makes it very difficult to do in this climate, in this environment. And it's the highest PCE report that we've seen since February. So it was at like 2.9. It went down to 2.5, 2.6, 2.7. Then it kept ticking up. Now we're at 2.9. And now the Federal Reserve is potentially going to cut interest rates coming up next month. So we've got the stock market at all-time highs. We've got the debt at an all-time high. We've got spending by the government at all-time highs. We've got personal debt at all-time highs. What do? Cut rates as inflation ticks back up. There may be some short-term relief, for people wanting to finally go out there and, maybe buy a car, go to Volkswagen Lease Summit, whatever it might be, and check out, new Tiguans, new Atlases. That's great. By the way, they've got great deals right now that are irrelevant to the interest rate, just so you know. They've got 0% down offers. But either way, for the broader economy, is that a good thing? No, because then the risk is stagflation. And the only way you beat stagflation is by being invested in the markets, and that's going to overwhelmingly benefit the wealthy. So I still have concerns over where this economy is at right now. But I will say this much. The good news in today's report is that private sector wages were up 0.7%, month over month, which is about 5% year over year. So that's a good number. That suggests a strong labor market right now. So if you're looking for the silver lining, that's it in the inflation report this morning, John. What's next?
Here we go. Big sports weekend. Buy, sell, or hold. Mark Van Sickle's college football parlay.
Okay, Mark.
Looks like there's several pages.
Wow. Holy smokes. What do you got for us here, my man?
All right. This is going to be fun. So this parlay starts tonight at 5 o'clock, and it will end tomorrow night around midnight, hopefully, assuming I can win this one. $10 to win about $50.
Okay, so this is just an excuse for you to basically tell your wife I'm not doing anything tonight or tomorrow. Honey, I got to win $50.
Exactly.
Okay.
But so all these teams are favored to win by 2 touchdowns or more. A lot of them are favored to win by even more. There's one game in here where it's only a 3-point favorite. I'll get to that here in a minute. But let's start out.
All right, hold on. Backtrack for a second.
Okay.
So all these games, all you're doing is picking the team to win outright.
Exactly.
Okay. So this
is
not about spreads.
Yes.
This is just 15 teams that have to win outright.
Yep.
For you to win this bet. Okay. Go ahead, Mark.
All right. Army's got to beat Tarleton State tonight. Michigan State's got to beat Western Michigan tonight. Those are the only 2 games tonight.
Okay.
Then we've got tomorrow, Tennessee beating Syracuse. That game's being played in Atlanta. Maryland beating Florida Atlantic. Kentucky beating Toledo. Alabama beating Florida State on the road. They are a 2-touchdown favorite in that game. Iowa State at home beating South Dakota State.
Mm-hmm.
Air Force beating Bucknell.
Okay.
Oregon beating Montana State. Texas A&M beating UTSA. Kansas State beating North Dakota.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the tricky one.
Yeah.
Clemson at home against LSU. I'm picking Clemson to win that one outright because Brian Kelly cannot win week 1 games worth a darn. So that's why I picked Clemson, even though they're only favored by 3. I got Clemson beating LSU. Then USC has to beat Missouri State. Arizona State beating Northern Arizona. And the final game of the weekend, Big 12 after dark, Arizona at home against Hawaii. I've got Arizona beating Hawaii.
All right, Mark.
Who messes it up for me?
Sell. Someone's going to screw this up for you. Look at last night. Boise State comes in, top 25 team, gets blown out by South Florida.
That's true.
This is so hard to predict this early in the season with all the different transfer portal guys and all these different teams. I mean, I don't know. Like Syracuse could beat Tennessee. I have no idea, Mark.
Yeah.
But there's no way you're going 15-0 in these games.
It's going to be very tough. I'm thinking Hawaii. Even I'll be 14-0, and then Hawaii goes into Arizona and just beats them in the final game at midnight when I've fallen asleep.
Yeah, you're going to be banging the walls at 1 a.m. tomorrow night when Hawaii upsets Arizona. You're going to wake up your own baby, and your wife's going to be just killing you.
Yeah,
killing you at 1 a.m.
But
so
it's something fun to follow over the weekend. That's kind of why I do those type of parlays.
Yeah, I know. Keeps you locked in all weekend, Mark.
Yeah.
But I got to sell it, buddy. I'm sorry about that.
It's all right. If I win it, I'll come back and let you know on Monday, though.
Yeah, and you can buy lunch. Sound good?
Sounds good.
All right, there you go. Buy, sell, hold in the books. Today is my 11th wedding anniversary. So thank you, Mark. Thank you very much for that. I appreciate that. So 11 years married and 3 kids later, 6, 4, and 1.5. And you know what? As Kate said to me this morning, I don't know if it feels like it was yesterday or it feels like it was 22 years, not 11. I said, yep, depends on the day. That's how I would put it. But, obviously it's been the best 11 years of my life, and we will be actually getting out tonight. We rarely ever get out when you got 3 little kids, but we will be going out tonight. So looking forward to that. Woo! Thank you, Mark. Thank you.
People are aroused. I haven't seen people so aroused in a very, very long time.
Coming up next.
Boom, boom, boom.
There you go. Micheal Mahoney, Channel 9, KMBC. will be here. Irish Fest, Kansas City news, and more next. 9:05 on a Friday morning. Every Friday, we like to bring in an in-studio guest to join us for a fun half-hour sit-down conversation. Who better than Micheal Mahoney, still contributing for Channel 9 KMBC, and, of course, the Heart of the Matter, their weekly review show for Kansas City News, moving up to 10:30 starting this Sunday morning on KMBC. Micheal, good morning.
Good morning. It's great to be here. Thanks for inviting me in.
Hey, it's great to see you, my friend. Hey, I thought of you this week because Irish Fest obviously gets underway tonight at 5 o'clock, and I said, well, there's no more prominent Irishman in this town that I know than Micheal Mahoney. He even spells his name like a real Irishman, E-A-L, not A-E-L.
Correct.
I didn't even know that's how you spelled it till like a couple of years ago, and I said, wow, I've been spelling this guy's name wrong for like 7 years at this point.
Yeah. In Gaelic, it would be Micheal.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But
so, okay, that's how the EAL thing comes about.
Correct.
So I know that you're not an organizer, but you are a volunteer. You're involved with Irish Fest this weekend. So what are you looking forward to the most?
Yeah, well, just being there. And number one, you're right. I'm not an organizer. I'm a ticket taker, okay? I'm just one of the folks who helps out. In the Irish Festival, this is going to be our 23rd year of it. Started back in the early 2000s, obviously, and it's at Crown Center. It starts tonight at 5 o'clock and runs till 11 this evening, and then 11 to 11 on Saturday and Sunday. And a lot of bands, many bands from Ireland will be appearing and performing on all three of the days, and then a lot of Kansas City Irish-themed acts as well. And for the first time ever, the U.S. ambassador to Ireland, a woman by the name of Geraldine Byrne-Nason, will be here and participating in a lot of the events with Irish Fest, and she'll be at the Culture Cafe along with representatives of the nearest Irish consulate, which is in Austin, Texas, and at that consulate. Down there, people can come, and if they're interested or considering taking a trip to Ireland, it's a really good place to find out about how to do it. There will also be people down there that will be people that have gone to Ireland, and you can pick up some tips about how to do that. Plus, there's just a lot of fun events like bands. We're going to have a Brady Bunch in honor of Sean Brady, the late Irish chef. Who died last year, and there'll be a breakfast at 11 on Sunday for that. Tickets for that are in addition to the gate admission, and you can find that and all the information about the Irish Fest on the website, KC Irish Fest. And then they're having a new thing that I've never heard about a Loco Bingo. Which is basically, as I'm told, a cross between a rave party and bingo, and apparently it's very successful and very, very popular in Ireland, and very successful here at other Irish festivals here in the U.S.
So will this be your first rave that you go to then this weekend?
I think it will be. I don't think I've ever been to one.
So how about the Irish history in Kansas City? If you were to give the 35,000-foot overview of the Irish history in Kansas City, how would you describe it, Micheal Mahoney?
The Irish came here primarily. The first wave of immigration started in the 1850s. A lot of Irish came over after the Irish famine in the 1840s, and obviously many of them settled in New England and New York City and Boston. Yep. And interestingly enough, Savannah, Georgia, has a really big Irish population.
So how did they end up out here in Kansas City?
Well, the railroads. They came out as A, pioneers, and B, working on the railroads as they came out. And so Kansas City has always had a substantial Irish contingent in its population. I think we're probably Irish descendants now are probably around 10% of the area. There had been St. Patrick's Day parades back in the 1800s, and then they fell dormant for a while. The St. Patrick's Day parade was resurrected in the early 1970s. We just celebrated our 50th year of doing that. Since then, the Irish festival started in the late 1990s as two separate festivals, one down in the Brookside area and then one over in the Westport area. They combined in the early 2000s. I think the first big one we tried to have got rained out. It rained cats and dogs for it, and we managed to survive that and consolidated, moved it to the Crown Center area in the early to mid 2000s. We also have the Kansas City Irish Center here, which is 52 week a year center for Irish events. We have concerts and different events at the Irish Center on a long-term basis. If you're interested in your Irish heritage, all that sort of stuff, get a hold of us at the Irish Center. That's on the website as well at the KC Irish Center, and we'd love to have you as a member.
So how about, too, the political influence of the Irish in this town, which obviously, Pendergast is the top of that list. How do the Irish come to have such a strong political influence in Kansas City over the years, led by Pendergast?
Well, the same has how the Irish accumulated political power in a lot of cities.
Chicago, Boston.
They got involved in machine politics in the 19th century and the early 20th century. And a lot of Irish joined fire departments, police departments. They got political patronage jobs, and it was a way to work up out of the poverty class of an immigrant to a more middle class lifestyle. And the Irish in America and in Kansas City have been very successful doing that.
Micheal Mahoney is here on KCMO. Well, there's, of course, no shortage of news happening in our town this week, and I wanted to also talk to you about that.
One more thing.
Please.
If people need information or want to get, tickets are available at the gates. There are numerous gates down at Crown Center, or you can go to the website for the Kansas City Irish Fest to make sure that you can get all the information and maps about where everything is. At the KCIrishFest.com.
KCIrishFest.com. I'm looking at it here starting tonight at 5 o'clock. So there's going to be a big deal. You mentioned for Sean Brady, of course, the Irish chef who was killed last year, almost a year ago to the day here in Kansas City. His car was getting burglarized. He walks out of his restaurant. It's, basically middle of the day. It's daylight out, and he ends up getting shot and killed. We still are dealing with, obviously, rampant violent crime in Kansas City, and we know that leaders are kind of looking for answers. Where do you think this town is at broadly on that issue right now, Michael?
It remains a serious problem, and it's multi-pronged. I mean, it's not just bad guys doing bad things, which is obviously a major part of it. But poverty has a play in it, disenfranchisement, and economics are all part of it as well. I mean, people get mean when they don't have money. Some people do anyway.
So, what about the mayor in terms of how he's handling it? I mean, he and I have talked about this extensively, obviously.
I know you have.
On the show the last couple of weeks. And I just get the sense
for the last several years.
Yeah, well, true. You're right about that. Last several years. It seems to me like he's just, and I get it. You want to do something, and now he's got this ordinance. He wants to have the parking lot owners, basically pay for their own security. That may help to some degree. Is it broadly going to fix the problem? I don't believe it will. But what do you just make of the mayor's attempt to try to basically bring something new to the forefront to try to stem the tide of violent crime?
Anything you can do that helps solve the problem or address the problem, you at least ought to try.
Yeah.
And I think that's what the parking lot ordinance is trying to do, especially after the rash of shootings. Last weekend, I think.
Yeah, 13.
And the other thing is that whether you like it or not, City Hall in Kansas City is hamstrung by the fact that it doesn't control its own police department, and they appoint Kansas Cityans to the police board, which is appointed by the governor, but the police commission and the members of it have the final say on everything. It's not just like City Hall can issue an order or pass an ordinance and make substantial changes with it, even though the Mayor Lucas and some members of the City Council were accused of defunding the police a couple of years ago. That was actually a shift of money inside of the department, but it didn't go over well, and there is a limitation on what City Hall can do with its police department here and in St. Louis.
But it's not like they sit there
because they're controlled by the state.
But they're not like sitting there and saying, if we had control, we'd do X, Y, and Z, and that would solve the problem. They never say that. It's just a convenient, I think, while you're right, there's a case to be made for true local control. They don't even say what they would do if they had local control. They just say we don't have local control. Right.
And the thing about it is your point's well taken, Pete, because St. Louis got out from under local control a few years ago. In fact, everybody in Missouri voted on that.
Yeah.
Overwhelmingly said, let's put the St. Louis Police Department back under local control. That turned out to be a disaster. The St. Louis Police Department and just the city administration in St. Louis has so many problems. We could take 2 hours to talk about it here, and not address all of them. So local control is not a panacea by any stretch of the imagination, nor is state control of the Kansas City, Missouri Police Department.
Yeah, absolutely. Micheal Mahoney, of course, Channel 9 KMBC is here on KCMO. KCIrishFest.com is where you can, of course, get tickets for the Irish Fest this weekend.
Or buy them at the gate.
Of course. We'll take a quick break, come back with Micheal on the top news stories in Kansas City this week right here on KCMO Talk Radio.
If it's happening in KCMO, it's on KCMO 95.7 FM. Here's Pete Mundo.
Micheal Mahoney, Channel 9 KMBC, Heart of the Matter. Their Sunday weekend review show has moved up to 10:30 starting this Sunday morning on KMBC. All right, Micheal, let's start with redistricting with you here. Obviously.
With what?
Redistricting.
Never heard about it.
Never heard of it?
No.
Oh, gosh. It's the talk of the town.
What's happening?
Well, you tell me, man. It's coming in Missouri. The question is, when is it coming in Missouri?
Well, as you and I were talking, and I agree with you that I expect Governor Kehoe to make an announcement today, probably late this afternoon, and a Friday afternoon news dump right before a long holiday weekend, that there'll be a special session that will take place in the second week of September, the week of September 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's also will be coordinated with the veto session, which is always happens in mid-September, and the Republicans will pass a bill that would redistrict Missouri and shake up the 5th district, which is here in Kansas City. Emmanuel Cleaver, Democrat, has that right now. They'll pull some of his district off and give it to Sam Graves north of the river, and pull some of it off and give it to Mark Alford in central Missouri and western Missouri, and leave a more competitive, in their mind, 5th district in the center of the city.
And then basically, does Cleaver run again if this redistricting happens?
He says he will. Now, Emmanuel Cleaver is going to be 81 in October.
Is he going to be 81? Gosh, dang.
But he's made it quite clear that he's going to stand for re-election.
No matter what, he's going to be there.
No,
Okay.
That's what he says now, or as of yesterday.
Yeah, okay. That's interesting. No, I think it's coming as well. So it's just a matter of what it looks like, how they redraw these maps.
What's really interesting is that the way the state is set up now, with 6 Republicans and 2 Democrats, the Democrats in basically St. Louis and here in Kansas City, they're not going to affect or try to affect the St. Louis district because it's protected by the Voting Rights Act, and they tried to do this 7-1 district a couple of years ago, but they didn't have the votes in the legislature. So now they're going back at it, saying that Missouri is a Republican state and that it should more accurately reflect the wishes of the people. Right now, by percentages, with a 6-2 split, the Republicans control 75% of the state. If they would go to a 7-1 district, it would be 87% of the state.
Yeah, it would be. And the reality is it's a 60-40 state, more or less. So that's really the makeup.
Yeah, and I heard you talking about this earlier. Yeah, there's 2 reasons to redistrict. Number one is to adjust according to the census, and the other one is to gerrymander and for political power. And that's what this is.
Absolutely. I mean, even those supporting it, they probably won't call it that because they can't, but that's what this is.
Yeah,
I mean, we all know the game here that's being played.
Right.
So I got to get your prediction, Micheal, on the Chiefs and the Royals and what you think is going on with this mess of a situation that we've been talking about for years now between these 2 teams.
It's astonishing that this has gone on for basically 2 years now.
Yeah.
And we really don't know much more than we did when this started. Obviously, state of Kansas is now into play on this, which we didn't know earlier. I think that the Chiefs end up renovating Arrowhead Stadium. They'll still there, and I think that the Royals still prefer a downtown Kansas City, Missouri stadium. Now, whether or not they pull it off remains to be seen. I think option 2 is Clay County.
Yep.
And option 3 is Kansas.
I'm with you there in terms of what they prefer. And as a Northland guy yourself, do you think there is? Do you think there would be an openness to a sales tax in Clay County? Because it would need to pass. Looks like a half-penny sales tax potentially.
Right. The people that endorse a Clay County stadium believe that the polls show that voters will support that. I think in Kansas City, Missouri North, which is the city proper north of the river in Clay and Platte counties, people will vote for that. Whether or not people in places like Excelsior Springs Kearney or Liberty or Platte County, North Kansas Citians would vote for it. I don't know. I think it would be a tough sell. But I also think there's a lot of civic pride, especially in Clay County, because I know a lot of those officials who would jump at making this happen.
Yeah, it's going to be fascinating to follow.
Yeah, but the thing about it is at some point people got to pull the trigger here.
I know.
I mean, this lease expires in January of 2031. So the clock is running here, and you just don't put up an aluminum classroom annex building and call it a stadium.
Micheal, you are the best, my man. Thank you for coming into studio this morning.
Happy to do it. Thank you, and I hope to see everybody at the Irish Fest this weekend. I'll be the guy wearing the green.
KCIrishFest.com. Micheal Mahoney, Channel 9, KMBC.
Hey, it's Kevin Keatsman. Stick around. I'm coming up at 10 o'clock right after Pete Mundo on KCMO 95.7 FM.
We have Nikki Pace in for Kevin Keatsman again this morning. She will join us to wrap up the show. I know, the crowd goes wild. Yep. The fans go wild. The one thing I got to tell Nikki when she comes in here, though, is she's got to tell her friend John, who joined her yesterday. Not you, John, the other John. The John who joined her on the air yesterday. Mm-hmm. She's got to tell John that we don't sit here all day and just talk about politics and abortion. I mean, my goodness. Talk about not knowing the format, not knowing the show.
Well, they just talk about nudicles over there.
Yeah, TNA, right? Come on now. Jeez, yeah, and that's all they do, TNA. Please. All right. Let's set up our caller of the day here on KCMO. Early this morning, we had just a great group of callers. All week, you guys have been tremendous. Every week, you're great, but it just feels like this week, which has been a really busy news week here in Kansas City, stood out above the rest. And we started off talking about the crime in Kansas City. Well, we had a lot of different conversations, but the mayor was on the show yesterday. We talked about, how to handle some of the crime in Kansas City, what's been going on downtown. And the mayor obviously wants to create and pass an ordinance that requires those who own parking lots in Kansas City to have their own security. My point is, those who own buildings and parking lots and anything in Kansas City, homes, they pay taxes. They pay taxes so that we have police officers who theoretically are patrolling, especially at 3:30 a.m., outside of an entertainment district on a Sunday morning. That's part of what you pay taxes for. The mayor and I got into it on this issue yesterday, and before we get to our caller of the day, let me play what he had to say on that front.
But Pete, I get what you're saying, but is it their job to stand outside of every private parking lot? So you're telling me when this business owner, who for some reason is too cheap to spend $50,000 on a gate, but you're telling me that this business owner can't be the one who actually provides security there?
Well, he's paying you taxes. He's paying you taxes to your city to patrol the city, right? I mean, that's part of what he's paying taxes for.
I'm intrigued. So taxes are being paid to patrol basically his private lot. He had a bunch of people who got in a fight on his private lot. Let's put walls up and all that sort of stuff. So if I get in a drunken fight in my house tonight and all of that, and KCPD doesn't show up prior to a guy shooting me, it's their fault?
That was Mayor Lucas yesterday here on KCMO Talk Radio. I don't think it's too much to ask to have a police officer or two, dare I say, driving circles around Power and Light District at 3 a.m. when the bars are getting out on a Sunday and just going from Main to Grand to 13th and 12th and 11th and just doing loops. I don't think that's too much to ask. I don't. And that's not me being anti-KCPD. I mean, I've always got their back, but it kind of came off like I was being the anti-police guy and he was being like, the defender of the police, which is kind of an interesting dichotomy based on how our conversations typically go. But I'm just like, why are we not having somebody patrol Power and Light at 3 a.m. when the bars are coming out?
Don't we have a helicopter still? I'm trying to find out.
Yeah, you know what? I'm sure someone will text in on the text line. Let us know. Does KCPD still have the helicopter?
Let's see. Yeah.
913-408-7957. Someone will text in. But this conversation led to our caller of the day on KCMO.
It's the Mundo in the Morning Caller of the Day on KCMO Talk Radio, now on FM at 95.7.
Damon's in Kansas City. Hey, Damon, you're on KCMO. Good morning.
Hey, thank you so much. I love listening to you guys. I moved to Kansas City last year with my wife and my daughter, got into an apartment complex out here, and they were paying like $2,000 a month to have some satellite little light up so the cops could watch, but that didn't stop anything. I got a Kia. That's how I found out about the Kia boys. They're just breaking into my car every other month. Luckily, they never got away with it. But when I call the cops to let them know, hey, I'm a veteran myself, Iraq veteran. I try to get with some of my other apartment friends here that I've met and protect our vehicles. And the cops straight up said, don't do that. They said, that's vigilantism. And if they catch us doing anything like that, that could be us looking for trouble, So I don't know. that made me feel some kind of way. So I got into a house now, but it's not in a much better neighborhood. And I found out that all these bad lots, like on Gregory and Agnes, all these bad lots. So I'm like, hey, talking to a neighbor that's been there for 30 years. And she's like, oh, yeah, they won't even let anyone do permits. There are plenty of people that want to buy this lot and build on it and, refab this horrible neighborhood with trash on the streets and stuff, but the city won't do anything about it. So I don't know. That's my 2 cents. I really appreciate everything that you're talking about this morning.
Damon in Kansas City, our caller of the day, he's been here about a year with his family, and he comes from small town Nebraska, and he's seeing it firsthand. So do you want vigilante justice or not? Do you want people to basically patrol and hire out and protect their own property themselves, or do you want to feel like you have a police department that will be there for people? And while you're not going to stop and prevent everything, we understand that. You've got dozens of kids who pour out of an entertainment district at 3 a.m. on Sunday. They don't just magically appear in a parking lot, right? I mean, that's just not how this works. If you're patrolling an area, you get a sense of, what's coming. And no one is anywhere in sight. No law enforcement's anywhere in sight. Now, if they're too busy on calls, I get it. It's 3 a.m. on a Sunday. You're short-staffed as a police department. Mm-hmm. That is a problem.
Back
I understand.
To the numbers game, yeah.
That's why you need to hire 200, 300 more cops. I get it. We talk about that all the time in Kansas City, Missouri. They've been hemorrhaging officers for years, but it went on steroids in the wake of all the nonsense of 2020. But it would seem to me that entertainment districts should be ground zero for patrol on Friday and Saturday nights. I don't think you have to be a police officer for 30 years to come to that very obvious conclusion. So either you're going to say to business owners and basically everyday citizens, you're in charge of yourselves, good luck. Or you say we have a police department for that. And that's what Damon was pointing out. He's like, we kind of wanted to do, I don't want to call it vigilante justice, but basically we'll look out for our own. And the police are telling them, don't you dare think about doing that. Well, which one is it, guys? Come on now.
It is. And some people do it, I think, around Grandview. Just kind of, some people are up and they just drive around, make sure somebody's up in the neighborhood at night. 'Cause we got people get into cars and rummaging for change and computers and cameras and whatever else.
I know guys in Brookside who have they've had break-ins into their cars, and they've sat on their front porches at night with their guns and just kind of monitored the streets.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how sad is that?
Yep.
Right? I mean, you got Brookside, you got beautiful old homes worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. No one would ever look at Brookside and be like, oh, that's the hood. And you have people who are literally like, I've got to take the law into my own hands. I have to be my own self-defense. That is a screwed up situation for parts of Kansas City. So, we'll have to see how it plays out. But, man, there's no shortage of future conversations going on in this town on that front.
I know it's kind of tough to be in a position because what can the police say? But maybe there's the implicit, don't you dare be out there patrolling on your own between midnight and 6, between our shift changes. Right, if they give you directions, actually. It's like that kind of wink, like, don't you go out there on your own between 11:30 and 5.
Yeah, between, 10th and 12th and Broadway and Grand.
Well, kind of to your point, when it's closing time in P&L, you might want to buzz somebody through there just a little bit because I'm sure you've got more than one conflict going on as you leave the bar early in
just
the morning.
One or two. Yeah, just one or two, I'm sure. Coming up, we'll wrap up the show with Nikki Pace. She is going to be filling in for Kevin Keatsman again on a Friday morning here on KCMO Talk Radio 95.7 FM. You can always stream us on the iHeart, TuneIn, or KCMO Talk Radio app. She will join us before filling in for Keatsman on Uncanceled here on KCMO.
You're listening to Mundo in the Morning on KCMO Talk Radio 95.7 FM.
Back for day number 2, Nikki Pace filling in for Kevin Keatsman on KCMO Talk Radio. Uncanceled is 15 minutes away. All right, Nikki, I said one thing. Keep that FCC license, and you kept it yesterday. Well done.
Thank you very much. I tried my hardest. Others, I can't control.
Well, your friend John there tried to lose it for us.
Of course.
But,
You know what? I wake up, and that was a normal day for me. I almost had I had a flashback. I thought I was going to start twitching.
Oh, geez. It was great radio. You guys sounded fantastic. The one thing, you got to just let him know. I know he's not a maybe consumer of KCMO, and that's fine. That's his prerogative. But the notion that we just sit around all day and talk politics and abortion is really not in line with what we do here on KCMO.
It's not what happens here.
It's not.
I've seen it now with my own eyes and ears.
I know. I mean, I'm sitting here. We're doing Travis and Taylor, and we're breaking it down, and we're having a grand old time on a Friday.
I know. See, you understand. Of course, there are important things to talk about, but there's also life out there beyond all this.
Exactly.
And sometimes it is a lot of Taylor and Travis.
That's how it goes. I mean, it's what people are talking about.
It's exciting.
Here's the thing, though. It's funny when you do this. For people that want to hear the drum beat all day, they get mad at you. But if you want to broaden and build a big audience, listen, people are living their lives. They're doing normal stuff. They're not consumed in the day-to-day in the weeds. They're just not.
No.
But when there's big stories, obviously you got to talk about those big stories.
Of course.
But gosh, you can't. It's hard to do 4 hours a day. You got to talk about the lives that people are living. And that's what you did successfully for all these years.
Well, I don't want to take people down. I mean, you got to go deal with your life every day. I mean, you have your own personal stuff. If I can make you laugh or at least give you information about something that's true information, whether it's going on around here in KC or whatever, make you laugh about a couple other things. I mean, just because there are stupid people out there. They make us all feel so much better. There's a whole pile of them here for me to share with you in the next hour. There's no shortage.
So you got an hour of stupid people stories coming up.
There's some good, and there's some information. And I forgot how many things were going on around here this weekend for Labor Day weekend.
I know. Now, you been out to Irish Fest or Santa Caligan Days?
Oh, Santa Caligan Days for sure. Because growing up right there on the edge of Independence,
I was going to say, that's your
annual trek.
Neck of the woods.
Of course, yeah. You put on a tube top, jean shorts, and went to the carnival.
Well,
got yourself a mirror.
I heard it gets pretty hairy out there.
I haven't been in it's been 4 or 5 years now. But it's a tradition. And it's a great part of town. I don't know if you've been down to historic downtown.
Yes,
it's beautiful.
Beautiful.
Right.
It's beautiful.
They put on a great time, but it is funny because no matter what you do, you're going to have events. I don't care what station or what group it is. There are a cast of characters that are going to find you.
And I've heard that Santa Caligan Days has its own kind of cast of characters.
I
A broad
love it.
swath of humanity.
Yes. Isn't it the best, though? Because wouldn't you be disappointed if you showed up and then it was just like, oh, that just looks like Jim and Sue. That's nothing.
This is too normal.
Right. I don't want that with my Santa Caligan Days. Don't be ridiculous.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
So John, do you know, or maybe you know, Nikki, how long has it been going on?
I believe it's the 53rd year. I can tell you actually because it's here in my pile.
53rd year.
Yeah.
53rd Santa Caligan Days.
A lot of concert appearances by Head East in Missouri. And
that's great.
So they have some great shows down there.
That's
The carnival goes on, too. And that actually started Thursday night. So it's been going in tonight's second night for that.
Yeah, main stage kicks off tonight there, John. Fast times at 6 o'clock. The Women of Rock tribute at 8. It's going to be a quality night.
I've seen them.
Yeah.
They're good.
Jason Craig and the Wingmen is Saturday night at 6. And then Phil Vass, are you familiar with him? He's country.
Yep.
He actually is a
Bluegrass
guy,
kind of deal.
he's written so many songs for other people, and he plays them in concert. So you're like, I didn't know he wrote that. I didn't know that. Like, he's got good music.
So let me ask you this, because you know the music industry. The guys that write the songs for the big stars
are rich.
That was my question. They do
right.
cash in.
Oh, they're the ones doing it right.
No pun intended.
Yes.
Because they get to make the money without doing all the traveling.
Of course. If you can sell your song to somebody, if you can give it to the right person and they make it some ginormous hit, that's the best day of your life.
But what about the egos for those guys? Do they really not, and gals, do they not have egos? They don't want to be famous?
No, I've actually watched one or two people struggle with it because they had a song or two where my husband said, you need to sell that. Like, you need to do something. I don't know. It's kind of mine. You're like, fly, bird, fly. Give that to somebody. Are you out of your mind? Get the money.
Well, don't a lot of those guys, too, they want to be famous. They start off writing for other people.
Sure.
And then they try to make it on their own, but it doesn't always work, right?
Yeah, sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. So.
Wow. But you can still be filthy rich without anyone knowing who you are as a writer.
People you've never heard of making millions because they're behind the scenes just doing what they do. And I think if you make peace with it, wouldn't that be the best thing ever?
Yeah.
You don't have all the baggage that comes with it. You don't have people stalking you.
Yeah.
You know, you get to do whatever you want to do. And
live a normal life.
Checks just keep coming.
That's not too bad, actually.
Yeah, producing and writing, I will tell you that because we didn't talk about this yesterday, but my husband's daughter, it's funny to say stepdaughter because we're actually closer in age than my husband and I are. So
is that right?
We always laugh. And I've known her since she's 8. Like we laugh like we're more like aunts, if anything, aunt and niece. But her husband is a performer, is Dan of Dan and Shay.
Mm-hmm.
But he writes and produces, and that's the best thing for him. And he prefers to actually do that and be in his studio because it's more work when you have to go out and travel and tour and do all that. Like he enjoys being at the house and making things there.
And doing it sometimes for other people.
Mm-hmm.
How about that?
Yeah.
How much of that is now AI generated? I hope not a lot, but I'm fearful that now with AI doing everything, are we going to have now basically musicians like AIing songs?
Right. Well, I've seen his studio in the house. And of course, there's a lot that back in the day, obviously things were on, tape and reel and all that. Mm-hmm. Of course, they're computers, but they play their instruments, they lay tracks down. So
they're doing it the real way.
Yeah. You'd hate to see that. I know what you're saying because I'm like, I'd hate to see things manufactured because some of that stuff sounds legit. If you've heard some lately, it sounds like a real artist. And they're like, oh, no, that's just fabricated. That's not even an artist. Somebody just made it up.
Well, like the parody songs you hear about like politicians and sports figures, a lot of it's just some guy who plugged in the formula to AI and they spit out this basically parody song.
If they know enough about what you want to do. Because there was a band that somebody put in just kind of things that they usually include in their songs.
Yes.
Sounded just like any other song they've written.
I've heard those. And it's like, put in cheap beer and women and high school football and
America.
make me a country song.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like, that sounds like a song you might hear on the
There's
radio.
Trace Adkins.
It's like, this is not good.
No.
All right, so you made it through day one.
Yes.
Did you like having the callers yesterday, kind of unfiltered?
I love it. I welcome anyone where I came from. You never knew what you were going to walk into. So I appreciate anybody chiming in, especially if there's something we talk about. Please call or text. I've been sitting alone with 2 dogs and a husband who's irritable for 6 months, sometimes not in the city. I welcome talking to other humans.
Who's irritable, the dogs or the husband?
The husband. God bless him.
Okay. All right. The dogs are always in a good mood.
He's a loving, patient man, but he's retired and I am not to be. So.
Well, I love it. And it seems like you got great reaction, great feedback yesterday. So,
well, thank you. And I appreciate everybody that has chimed in, or if you're just even thinking about it, don't be shy.
We're here.
I'm like your sister's friend that's just sitting down the street. Just,
hanging out.
Just give me a yell.
How did John and Mark do? Give those guys grades.
Oh, they got 10s. They were A+ yesterday.
Look at that.
They walked in, even when I was kind of frazzled just trying to make sure I had something. John would walk in here. He's like, here's a piece of note. Here's something.
Well,
he had me.
John's great. It's funny, though, because when I hear like your other friend, John, talk about this John, it's a they go back 35 years, but it's just a different relationship than John and I have where it's kind of like we're 2 brothers and we just kind of mix it up. But it's a very different relationship sometimes.
Yeah, you're Dazed and Confused brothers. That was the version he was that was the era.
Oh, gosh, that's great. Well, we're looking forward to having you back here.
Thank you again. I appreciate the kindness and your trust. I'm not even joking. I'm like, thank you for letting me in here.
Well, of course. I am getting out of here. I got my 11-year anniversary today. So
congratulations.
Thank you.
You need to get out of here.
I'll do my best. How many are you at now?
We are 27.
27.
It's coming up here at the end of next September.
End of September. All right. What advice do you have for me in 30 seconds to get to 27?
You definitely need 2 bathrooms and 2 different TVs if you haven't figured that out. And working vehicles just so you could go around the block and give each other space.
There you go.
Space is important.
That's great. Marriage advice. Nikki Pace. You'll get more next hour.
Yeah, sometimes don't text when you want to.
Yeah, that's very good. Have a great show, Nikki.
Thank you.
All right, we're back on Monday morning, 6 a.m. here on KCMO Talk Radio. Nikki Pace in for Kevin Keatsman to take you into the weekend next on 95.7 FM.